One Piece, Heaven Defying, Awakening the Dark Lord Part 1. Ha! You said this is Hakinosu? A handsome young man with a delicate appearance grabbed the pirate-dressed man before him, his face full of shock as he exclaimed in disbelief. Yuen, don't tell me you're scared silly by the pirate banquet already? The young pirate sneered, looking at him as if he were a fool. Yuen furrowed his brows, his confusion deepening. Laozi's nickname is Jiangnan Guanxi. Who is this guy calling Yuen? Taking in his surroundings, he saw crude wooden houses scattered haphazardly, a massive skull-shaped boulder in the center, broken yet strangely familiar. The people around him were clad in pirate attire, their fierce eyes and menacing expressions leaving no doubt that they were ruthless criminals. Uncertain and wary, Yuen feigned ignorance while questioning the pirate and eventually pieced together his situation. To put it simply, he had time-traveled. The esteemed Jiangnan Edison Chin had found himself transported into the world of pirates, specifically to the era of rocks. His new identity? A complete rookie who had just joined the Rocks Pirates, Kasa Yuen. Watching the pirate walk away, Yuen recalled the scornful look the man had given him. A sense of despair settled over him. Hakinosa, the infamous pirate paradise, lay in the New World. Also known as Beehive Island, it had been ruled by two notorious figures in history, Rocks and Blackbeard. Right now, it was the reign of Rocks. At this time, the island was notorious for gathering a horde of terrifying pirate monsters. Led by Rocks, this crew struck fear across the world, attracting numerous followers eager to prove their worth. Yuen was one of those who had come seeking refuge. The Rocks pirates had one ironclad rule: newcomers had to pass a test. That test? A brutal battle, a fight to the death where pirates displayed their strength. Those who performed well would be handpicked by captains like Whitebeard, Golden Lion, Silver Axe, and Achaku, thereby securing a place in the crew. Failing to be chosen, however, meant death. Rocks, the overlord of pirates, had no use for weaklings. This violent trial on Beehive Island was fondly dubbed the Pirate Banquet by veteran pirates. For them, it was just another spectacle. But for those participating, it was a gate to hell. Especially for Yuen. He was weak. In his past life, he had been an ignorant young man with burning ambition, blindly following pirates without fully understanding the consequences. Now, he found himself thrust into a world of real, bloody carnage. F***CK. The pirate banquet starts in a week. How the hell am I supposed to survive this? Yuen cursed, feeling completely helpless. What he had just learned from the young pirate, Motos, left him with no hope. How much could he change in a week? His current body was frail, weak as a quail. He knew no martial arts, no hockey, no swordsmanship. If that wasn't being a quail, then what was? Pinching his thigh, he winced in pain. Not a dream. Time travel was real. I'm seriously risking my life here. He sighed heavily, his frustration evident. Despite his despair, Yuen remained rational. He needed to find a way to survive. Maybe I should run away? His eyes lit up as the thought crossed his mind. Just as he was about to put his escape plan into action, a sudden commotion broke out around him, followed by a booming laugh. Ha ha! Come here, you little brats! Laozi is in a good mood today. Let me teach you something. The voice was like rolling thunder, shaking his ears and making them buzz. Then, he heard the excited murmurs around him. Hurry! Captain Shiki is giving pointers. Shiki-sama? Quick, quick! We can't miss this! Don't block the way, move aside! The moment they heard Shiki himself was coming, the pirates became ecstatic. Each of them dreamed of being chosen by him, and they rushed eagerly toward the source of the voice. Yuen, still stunned, was shoved twice by a burly pirate behind him. Shiki, the Golden Lion! His eyes sharpened, and curiosity drove him to follow the crowd. As a time traveler, how could he pass up the chance to meet such a legendary pirate? Soon, a large crowd gathered in an open area beneath a towering rock. At the very front, standing atop a 5-meter-high flat rock, was a tall man with golden hair resembling a lion's mane. 2 swords hung from his waist, and he donned a long cloak that made him appear even more imposing. With a cigar clamped between his teeth, he grinned broadly, exuding a domineering presence. His lion-like gaze alone was enough to make people avoid direct eye contact. Yuan stood at the back of the crowd, staring at the golden-haired man looming over them, unable to suppress a low whistle. As expected of the Golden Lion. Even from this distance, his presence is overwhelming. The world of pirates is different from what I imagined, he murmured to himself, a strange excitement bubbling within him. Of course, surviving this world would make it even more enjoyable. Glancing at the surrounding pirates, about 100 of them, his expression turned serious. Every single one of them was his competitor for the pirate banquet. Before he could process the gravity of the situation, the Golden Lion, standing with his arms crossed atop the massive rock, spoke up. Ha ha ha, you lot have some spirit. I'm in a good mood today, so I'll demonstrate my swordsmanship. Anyone who manages to learn it can join my team right after the pirate banquet. A wisp of smoke curled from his cigar, yet miraculously it didn't fall. The pirates below erupted with excitement. Captain Shiki's sword techniques. If we learn it, we can have Shiki-sama as our backer. Swordsmanship? Damn, I trained as a sniper. I don't even use swords. Same here. And let's be real, how could we possibly learn Shiki-sama's swordsmanship so easily? I bet Victoron has the best shot. He's a sword master and even wields the famed blue flame from the 21 great blades. The murmuring continued. Yuan frowned slightly but chose to ignore it, instead focusing on the Golden Lion with a wary gaze. If I can gain his recognition, can I skip the pirate banquet? Too bad I don't know swordsmanship. He wanted to scream at the heavens in frustration. Yet, despite just arriving in this world, he had already started embracing his pirate identity. From atop the stone platform. Clang! With a swift motion, Shiki drew the wooden blade at his waist, radiating an imposing aura. A dazzling slash, sharp and crescent-shaped, tore through the air, slicing the sky like a beast's claw. The clouds above split apart, leaving a massive, gaping wound in the sky. The powerful slash shot higher, exploding in the heavens with an earth-shaking roar, as though countless cannons had fired at once. The pirates below gaped in stunned silence. Yuan was no exception. But his shock wasn't from the power of the attack. It was from the voice that suddenly echoed in his mind. You witnessed Shiki perform. Chopping wave. Your heaven-defying talent has been activated. You suddenly gain enlightenment, and your understanding of swordsmanship deepens. You have successfully mastered the sword technique. Chopping wave. Countless images flooded his mind, replaying Shiki's exact movements. At this moment, the technique lay before him, waiting to be claimed. Enlightenment, heaven-defying! Is this my cheat? The strange voices and clear images in his mind were reminding Yuan that he was not really useless. Yuan got excited. The surrounding pirates gradually came back to their senses, their eyes filled with fanaticism and admiration. What a powerful blow! It looks like it's about to split the sky in half. Master Shiki can kill all of us in one move. Is this the power of a great pirate? Standing this far away, I feel like I'm going to be torn apart at any moment. Shiki-sama is definitely the strongest among the captains. Compliments rang out from below. Shiki seemed to have heard the words of the strongest captain, and his smile became brighter, and he said proudly, Ha 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 ha, Laozi is not afraid of anyone except Captain Rocks. Although it was pretentious, I still didn't forget to remove Rocks. Rock's strength is self-evident. This is Laozi's chopping wave. You didn't even use 1/10 of the power of the move just now. Otherwise, you wouldn't be standing here safely now. I'll teach you the moves. How much you can learn depends on your ability. Anyone who can touch the fur within 3 days can join Laozi's army after the pirate banquet. Shiki has a big smile and looks carefree. But Yuan felt that his smile was a little sinister. The reason why Shiki came out early was to select good seedlings to join his team. Next, the pirates will practice freely. Pirates who are interested can receive the long sword, and those who are not interested can leave. Shiki will not force anyone. But apparently, no one is uninterested. As long as you learn it, it is equivalent to having an internal appointment. Who can resist the temptation of being internally appointed? This is equivalent to passing the written test and passing the interview directly. There is nothing else, just that there are people above. In a short while, the pirates in the open space began to brandish their swords, imitating Shiki's previous moves. Yuen held an ordinary long sword in his hand, his eyes bright. Although it was my first time holding a knife, I felt familiar with it. Because of Heaven Defying. The Heaven Defying of Enlightenment is triggered. Yuen analyzes Shiki's slashing attack very thoroughly in his mind, allowing him to not only learn slashing wave, but also reversely deduce basic swordsmanship and even master sword energy. This moment, Yuen grew from a quail who knew nothing to a swordsman who mastered the basics of swordsmanship. He took a deep breath, held the knife with both hands, and a sharp aura flowed through him. It's sword energy. Under Yuen's control, the sword energy condensed on the blade, making the ordinary iron long sword brighter. Buzz! Chopping! Yuen shouted in his heart, and waved his arms suddenly. A palm-sized crescent-shaped slash was formed, surrounded by a hint of lion's power. As the blade was swung, it shot out along the tip of the blade like a dart. Bang! A roar that was not very loud. The slashing blow from Yuen landed on the huge mountain, leaving a clearly visible mark, proving that he was really able to swing the slashing blow. You successfully performed the chopping wave, and gained a deeper understanding of the slashing attack. You mastered the art of multiple slashing attacks. Success. The feeling of cheating is extremely cool. Yuen smiled. On the huge stone platform, the golden lion who was about to leave noticed this scene keenly, and was surprised. His eyes fell on Yuen. It seems a bit like chopping wave. No, how could someone understand Laozi's chopping wave so quickly? It must be the chopping wave he learned before that is somewhat similar to chopping wave. There is a difference between a chop and a cut. Each person's slash has its own characteristics. There are also swordsmen who have mastered the slashing attack among this group of pirates, but they cannot perform the same slashing attack as the Zampa, and they need more practice and comprehension to master it. So Shiki didn't think that anyone could grasp the secret of the chopping technique so quickly. This was a move he had painstakingly researched. He was about to look away when he suddenly found that the young man turned around and looked at him, raising the long sword in his hand. Captain Shiki, I learned it. The sound is not loud, but it is extremely clear. All the pirates stopped what they were doing at the same time, turned their heads and looked at the handsome young man in amazement. He learned it? What a joke! Hey, you little brat who hasn't even fully grown his hair yet, you're not going to try to get away with it by using another attack, are you? That's right. If he really learns it, Laozi can even eat the knife in his hand. Some were surprised, some were sarcastic. I can't believe that someone could master Shiki's chopping technique so quickly. A young man with a gloomy face and long hair was not far from Yuen. He looked at Yuen and couldn't help but sneered. TSK, can this kind of rubbish learn to chop waves? He didn't believe that Yuen had learned to chop. Because the first person who learns how to chop waves must be yourself. His name is Victoron, he is a well-known pirate swordsman and the best swordsman among all the pirates. In his hand he held a samurai sword engraved with blue flame patterns. 21 skills of the great sword Blue Flame. Brush. Yuen only felt a flash before his eyes, and a gust of wind blew over. Next second, Shiki with golden mane appeared in front of him, looking at Yuen with a half-smile, but the smile seemed cold, and he said in a deep voice, Have you learned how to chop? You should know the consequences of deceiving Laozi. It was obvious that he didn't believe that Yuen could master the chopping technique so quickly. Yuen was slightly nervous in the face of the lion-like momentum, but his expression was extremely calm. He said with certainty, I know. So I really learned it. Not only did I learn how to chop, I also learned how to do multiple slashes. Yuan thought silently in his heart. Very good, then show it to Laozi. Shiki took a puff of his cigar, exhaled a puff of smoke, and gave a faint instruction. He was somewhat puzzled. This kid looked so confident. Could it be that he really had learned it? Yes. Yuan nodded. However, he did not take action immediately. Instead, he walked to the side, picked up an unused samurai sword, and stood in front of the mountain again under the confused gaze of everyone. Take a deep breath, take a deep breath. As long as you perform well, this is an opportunity to change your destiny. Yuan told himself in his heart. He exerted a little force with both hands and opened his arms, and the sword energy quickly condensed, more than 10 times faster than before. The secret of the multiple slashing technique lies in the rapid concentration of sword energy to form a slashing attack. If the sword energy cannot keep up, the slashing attack cannot be carried out. Murmuring in his heart, his whole aura suddenly became sharp. The next moment, the body turned. Swing the knife with your right hand. The first slash burst out. Swing the knife with your left hand. The second slash followed closely. Swing the knife with your right hand again. The third slash is formed and slashed out. The fourth, fifth. It was not until the 8th slash was launched that Yuan's brain suddenly felt dizzy and was forced to stop. But the moment he stopped, he immediately realized that something was wrong. His arms felt weak and swollen with pain, and he could hardly hold the sword handle with his hands. The samurai's long sword fell to the ground with 2 clangs. Yuan's legs went weak and he sat down on the ground, breathing heavily, with beads of sweat dripping from his forehead. At this point, there was no other sound except Yuan's heavy breathing. Many pirates fell into silence, and Golden Lion Shiki was no exception. Shiki's eyes widened, with an unbelievable look as if he had seen a ghost. His heart was already in turmoil and trembling. Lion Thousand Slice Valley? Shiki watched Yuan's attack in person, so he could clearly sense that Yuan's attack method was chopping. This shows that Yuan has really learned how to chop waves. Not to mention the chopping wave, even the upgraded version of the chopping wave, Lion Thousand Slice Valley, was used. How could Shiki not be shocked? That's right, if the multiple slashing technique is used in the form of slashing waves, it will be another powerful move of the Golden Lion, Lion Thousand Slice Valley. Is it really Jabwa? No way, how could someone be so heaven-defying? This kid doesn't even look like an adult yet. Could he really have a terrifying talent? Could it be that Lord Golden Lion's private, illegitimate child? The pirates around were all numb, even such heaven-defying speculation popped up. Victorin's eyes were gloomy, and he gritted his teeth without saying a word. He could naturally notice that Yuan's slashing method was exactly the same as John Bow's. He was shocked and extremely unhappy, thinking that Yuan had stolen the limelight that belonged to him. Ha 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 ha, what a big surprise for Laozi! Shiki came back to his senses, threw his head back and laughed, obviously in a good mood. Ahem. Captain Shiki, have I passed? Yuan gritted his teeth, enduring the pain in his arms, and asked impatiently. Yes, although the slash you made is as weak as an ant, it is indeed Laozi's slashing technique. You have passed the test. When the pirate banquet is over, you will directly join Laozi's army. Shiki took a big puff of his cigar. He gave orders in a casual manner. Upon hearing this, Yuan was delighted at first, but then hesitantly asked, Captain Shiki, can we not attend the pirate party? Shiki frowned subconsciously and waved his hand. The pirate banquet is a rule set by Captain Rox, and no one can violate it. The implication is that you must attend the pirate banquet. In a life and death struggle, the weak die. You are so talented, what's there to be afraid of? You have even learned Laozi's moves, so the pirate banquet is not a big threat to you. It's strange, how come you are exhausted after only 7 or 8 slashes? Have you never been trained? Physical training? Shiki had no idea of Yun's concerns, but was puzzled by his condition. Normally, swordsmen would practice physical skills, as the body is the foundation for the power of swordsmanship. Seeing Yuan looking exhausted after masturbating so much, it's hard not to feel confused. To be honest, Captain Shiki, this is my first time touching a sword, and I have never learned taijutsu or swordsmanship before. Yuan told the truth. Only those who demonstrate amazing talent will be taken seriously. The last thing the sea lacks is monsters. What? Your first time touching a knife? You haven't even learned physical skills and swordsmanship? Shiki was completely dumbfounded and looked confused. The first time I touched a sword, I was able to learn chopping waves and comprehend Lion Thousand Slice Valley. What kind of talent is this? Shiki walked forward with a suspicious look on his face, grabbed Yuan, scratched his bones and muscles, and looked at his white palm. His expression changed again and again, and he looked at Yuan as if he was looking at a ghost. My muscles are relaxed and show no signs of training. My palms have no calluses from holding a knife. Is this really your first time? Cough. What do you mean by first time? Please explain it more clearly. Lousy is a Jiangnan Guanxi. How could it be the first time? Yuan only dared to express his dissatisfaction in his heart, and said honestly with a sincere look. Really? The look on his face seemed to be saying, this is really my first time, I'm not lying to you. Damn it, monster! Shiki's mouth twitched and he cursed under his breath. Lousy was so shocked that he wanted to curse. What kind of evil talent is this? I mastered Chopping Wave and Lion Thousand Slice Valley on my first try, and I was able to use them. Captain Rox isn't that evil. The most abnormal thing about Yuan that struck Golden Lion as abnormal was that he had never practiced swordsmanship or physical skills, but he could instantly grasp the mysteries of swordsmanship. If he said that he was not a swordsmanship genius, even a ghost would not believe it. Captain Shiki, do you think I can pass the test early and not attend the pirate banquet? Yuan made his demands. Although he learned how to slash, his strength was still far behind others. What's more, he now noticed several malicious eyes staring at him. Because I am in the limelight, I attract jealousy and hatred. Yuan sighed slightly. Shiki frowned and said hesitantly, the pirate banquet is Captain Rox's rule, no one can break it. But if it's you, maybe it's possible. Well, I'll ask Captain Rox for his advice when I see him. Yuan's eyes lit up. When will there be results? Rox. Although he is very powerful, he should also be very scary. But considering his heaven-defying talent, he won't refuse, right? Yuan held on to a glimmer of hope. Captain Rox is not on the island recently. He should be back before the pirate banquet. Shiki's tone was full of uncertainty. It's like it's not certain whether Rox can come back during the pirate party. Yuan. So it was all nonsense? Oh my God! This is how the tragedy of an innocent boy being deceived happened. You're worried about shit. Shiki saw the look in Yuan's eyes and immediately became unhappy and scolded. You are Lousy's man now. Even if you attend the pirate banquet, who dares to touch you? This is undoubtedly a warning to other pirates not to have any bad intentions towards Yuan. How did I become yours? Lousy is straight. Although Yuan was indignant, he smiled brightly. Thank you, Captain Shiki, for your care. Okay, you look weak. Hurry up and find some food to replenish your energy. Come to Lousy if you have any problems. Shiki is very loyal and really treats Yuan as his own. Yes. Yuan agreed and dragged his tired body towards the cafeteria. Shiki's eyes behind him were full of surprise. Well, I picked up a good seedling. Ha ha ha, you guys keep practicing. Whoever can master the slashing wave in 3 days can still join Lousy's team. Yuan had no idea what happened next. He came to the cafeteria, ordered a large portion of food, and started eating. Beehive Island is the Rock's base camp, so the chefs and canteen arrangements are naturally not bad. The guys with monster physiques also have extremely terrifying appetites. Yuan, who was concentrating on eating, suddenly felt something move. Heaven Defying can help me master skills quickly. I'm lacking in physical strength right now. I wonder if Heaven Defying can help me change my physical condition. Thinking of this, Yuan seemed to enter a meditative state. The structure of his body was reflected in his mind, and every muscle and bone was extremely clear. The movement of his internal organs appeared before his eyes. Enlightenment is triggered by heaven defying, and new ideas suddenly open up. You comprehend your own eating, comprehend the method of practicing physical skills, and successfully comprehend the method of strengthening your physique. Source: swallowing technique. Swallowing energy technique. Quickly gain energy through eating to strengthen the body. It's done! Yuan suddenly opened his eyes, his face full of joy. Now I can become stronger just by eating! Without hesitation, he ate his rice in big mouthfuls and swallowed the jerky on the plate in front of him. The source swallowing technique operates spontaneously. My stomach was a little full at first, but after I comprehended the source swallowing technique, the feeling of fullness disappeared instantly. Yuan could even feel the wriggling of his internal organs, which worked together to quickly consume the food that entered his abdomen, quickly breaking it down into energy and integrating it into his quail-like body. Streams of heat flow from the abdomen along the blood to the limbs and bones, nourishing every muscle. Qi and blood are nourished, meridians and muscles are nourished with energy and rapidly transformed, and the body becomes quietly stronger. Yuan finished a whole table of meat in one breath. His loose muscles firmed up a little and he seemed to have some strength. When he went to ask for food again, he was rejected by the chef. Get out of the way. You're just a young boy eating so much food. Do you really think you're the captain? Yuan cursed as he was driven out of the cafeteria. *ck it. Not even any food. Yuan smacked his lips with satisfaction, feeling his current body, his expression slightly changed. Now I should be able to deliver a decent slash. Well, finally I have some fighting power, but what about food? I just got the method to become stronger by eating, but now people won't let me eat. How can I bear this? In the cafeteria, after Yuan left, a short figure popped up, took a deep look at Yuan, then turned his head to look at the table piled with plates, and vaguely heard a sighing voice. He's obviously an ordinary person, but why does he have the same appetite as Lin Lin back then? I was so scared that I almost thought another monster had appeared. It's no wonder that the cafeteria kicked Yuan out. The main reason was that he ate more food than the captain. If everyone had the same appetite as him, the Rock's pirates would have been eaten up and disbanded long ago. A day passes in a flash. The sun sets in the west, and the moonlight gradually shines. On the beach near the coast, a bonfire was slowly rising, roasting fresh fish, releasing a faint aroma that drifted towards the woods behind. The night at sea is so quiet. Yuan sighed as he took big bites of the fish. His eyes were fixed on the endless deep sea. In the distance, a ship was sailing around the Honeycomb Island. It's a patrol vessel, responsible for guarding the surrounding sea areas. At the same time, it also cut off Yuan's idea of escaping. Since Yuan had found a way to strengthen his body after leaving the cafeteria during the day, he naturally would not give up, so he went to find food by himself. Since there is sea all around, fish is the most abundant thing. He began to study fishing. With the blessing of heaven defying, you can easily comprehend the unique fishing technique. He also used his own fish and the canteen to exchange for some seasonings. With heaven defying enlightenment, grilling skills have reached the pinnacle. So Yuan enjoyed the delicious food while becoming stronger. It's strange, it's a sea fish, but it doesn't taste fishy or salty, but rather very delicious. You took the bait again. Crash, crash. Oh, this fish is not small. Yuan pulled the fishing rod and pulled a green sea fish to the shore. He cleaned it very skillfully, sprinkled seasoning on it, and grilled it over the fire. After awakening to heaven-defying enlightenment, Yuan was not in a hurry to escape. If you stay, you may have better opportunities. He also wanted to get gold coins from the Golden Lion. Yuan took the freshly grilled fish and was about to eat it when he heard heavy footsteps behind him. What a nice smell! I can smell it, it's coming from the front. Kaido, let's go. Lin Lin, you are the captain after all. Why did you keep Lousy awake in the middle of the night just because of a scent that came from nowhere? Kaido. Auntie. Hearing the conversation, Yun turned around suddenly, just in time to see two huge shadows looming over him. The man was extremely tall and sturdy, with loose black hair, and looked menacing. It was the young Kaido, who had not yet eaten the fish fruit. His physical characteristics had not changed, except that he was extremely burly. The woman next to him is, of course, Charlotte Linlin. The terrifying thing is that she is even more than 1 meter taller than Kaido, wears a pirate hat, and has an exceptionally beautiful appearance. If it weren't for her huge physique, her beauty would definitely rank among the top in the world of pirates. Yun had to admit that the young ant was indeed very beautiful. Huh! Is this the food you baked? Linlin looked down at Yun and couldn't wait to reach out for the fish on the grill. Etc. Yun quickly spoke up to stop him. Charlotte Linlin's demeanor suddenly changed after being interrupted. Her eyes instantly turned cold as she looked at the ant-like human, her tone unclear. Are you stopping me? The murderous intent is fierce. Kaido already had a murderous aura, and Charlotte Linlin suddenly released her aura at this moment, causing Yun's back to feel cold, with a chill rushing from his heels to his crown. He snapped back to his senses. Finally, I realized that the 4 emperors in front of me were the future. If you anger them both, you will die, and the golden lion may not say anything. No, I mean that one is freshly baked and not yet cooked. If you want to eat it, you can eat this one first. I haven't touched it yet, so it's clean. Yun hurriedly delivered his piece of fish, with cold sweat breaking out on his back. The strong prey on the weak. Even if Charlotte Linlin steals his food, he dare not resist. I see. Charlotte Linlin grabbed the fragrant fish meat with one hand and stuffed it into her mouth. It smells so good. This is the first time I've eaten such delicious food. You're even better at making bread. At least one should remember the well-digger when drinking the water. Charlotte Linlin expressed her appreciation for Yun's craftsmanship. Hey Linlin, you ate it all by yourself, what about lousy? Kaido stood aside, smelling the mouth-watering aroma, and couldn't help but feel greedy. There's still some left. You can eat it later. Haha, a piece of fish the size of your palm is not even enough to fill your teeth. Will you give it to me? Kaido snorted coldly. As a temporary friend, he knew Charlotte Linlin's character too well. When the fish is ready, you may not even be able to eat the fish bones. Yun watched the two people fighting for his grilled fish and excluding him, and he became furious. However, his strength increased in less than a day, and he probably couldn't withstand a slap from Kaido. Yun's eyes lit up, and he suddenly came up with a plan to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Actually, you don't have to fight over it. I can still grill it. It's just that it's very troublesome to fish one by one, and the fish I catch seem very small for both of you. Yun expressed his meaning very tactfully. Upon hearing this, Charlotte Linlin's eyes suddenly sparkled with greed. Pa! A slap on Kaido's head. What are you waiting for? Go catch some big fish. Kaido snorted twice in dissatisfaction, then dived into the sea to catch fish. Yun wanted to laugh. He didn't expect that the young lady had such a big sister temperament that even Kaido obeyed her. What's your name? Who do you work for? Charlotte Linlin sat down and asked with her head down. She planned to recruit Yun to her team and feed him barbecue every day. Damn it! This woman looks pretty, but she has a very vicious heart. She actually wants Lousy to be her chef? Yun knew Big Mom's greedy personality, and immediately understood her intention, but he still couldn't say. I'm a newcomer and will be attending the pirate banquet in a few days. You? Attending a pirate party? Charlotte Linlin did not hide her emotions, curled her lips and said truthfully. With your strength, you will be dead after attending the pirate banquet. It's a pity that such delicious grilled fish cannot be eaten every day. Ahem. Yun choked hard. Although it's true, what this woman said is so infuriating. If I wasn't so weak, I would have put her in 18 different positions to kill her. One of the unsolved mysteries in the pirate world. How does an old lady give birth to a child with men of different sizes? Yun only dared to vent in his heart, and on the surface he remained calm and did not refute. Since I am valued by the Golden Lion, maybe I will have a chance not to attend the pirate banquet. Besides, there are still a few days left. If there is enough food, I can become much stronger. Unable to escape, Yun could only find a way to face it. Soon, Kaido returned with several large-sized fish, which made Yun and Charlotte Linlin's eyes sparkle. Charlotte Linlin and Kaido built the extra-large grill themselves, which was a bit difficult for Yun's small physique. The three of them started barbecuing in perfect harmony. During this period, Kaido also understood Yun's identity and didn't say much. "No, are you really an ordinary human? Not a special race?" Kaido stared at Yun with a puzzled look on his face, feeling extremely puzzled. "This kid seems to eat more than me. I even ate almost as much as Linlin. Is this really something that a person less than 2 meters tall can eat? I have a naturally voracious appetite and I never feel full." Yun smacked his lips, looking as if he was still unsatisfied. The warmth in his abdomen became stronger and stronger, flowing through his body like a torrent. This feeling of becoming stronger made Yun feel very refreshed. "Logically speaking, being able to eat is a talent. You shouldn't be so weak." Charlotte Linlin frowned slightly and spoke in a clear voice. She thought Yun couldn't eat much, so she asked him to eat with her, but he ended up eating 1/3 of the food by himself. Now it was Charlotte Linlin's turn to be dumbfounded. "I didn't have such conditions before, and no one taught me, otherwise I wouldn't have become a pirate. Isn't it just to have a full meal?" Yun explained with a natural look on his face, but other thoughts were coming to his mind. "What a pity! If you had been discovered earlier, maybe." Kaido's eyes flashed with regret. He looks like a rough guy, but he is actually very shrewd. A talent like Yun's will not weaken if he is properly trained. This still does not know the judgment that Yun made after instantly understanding, chopping wave. "Alas, there's nothing I can do. Can I ask you for a favor?" Yun asked tentatively. "What's the matter? Don't even mention helping you pass the pirate banquet. We can't do that." Charlotte Linlin blocked one road first. "Cut. Look how scared he is, even less than cheeky." Yun couldn't help but complain in his heart. "It's unrealistic to help me pass the pirate banquet directly. I want to learn hockey. Can you teach me?" "Learning hockey?" Kaido looked surprised. He didn't expect that Yun would actually bring up the idea of learning hockey. Yun noticed the hesitation in Kaido's tone and quickly said, "I have learned hockey, which gives me another method. As long as I pass the pirate banquet, I will grill fish for you every day. I am also good at grilling meat and desserts." When it comes to showing his worth, Yun is not stingy. "Although I don't know how to make desserts yet, it won't be a big problem once I get the hang of it." Charlotte Linlin hesitated for a moment. Her heart was moved by the dessert that Yun mentioned. If that's the case, then teaching Yun to be domineering seems like it's not impossible. Kaido turned his head and looked at Charlotte Linlin, who nodded imperceptibly. He said in a low voice, "I can teach you how to be domineering, but whether you can learn it is your own problem." "Yes, I understand." Yun nodded hurriedly. "Then let's not waste words." Kaido adjusted his expression and said, "Hockey is divided into conqueror's hockey, armament hockey, and observation hockey. In layman's terms, armament hockey can improve defense and attack power, and it can also trigger. One of the methods to encounter a Logia Devil Fruit user is to use observation hockey." Although Yun was well aware of the basics of hockey, and what Kaido said was nonsense to him, he had no way of refutation and could only listen quietly. "Look carefully, this is armament hockey." Kaido stretched out his huge palm, and in the blink of an eye it was covered with a layer of substance emitting a dark black glow. The deepness revealed the sharpness, giving people a feeling of being invulnerable to swords and guns. Armament hockey is divided into several stages: hardening, entanglement, and release. Yun was slightly stunned, Kaido's voice weakened in his ears, and his mind was immersed in his own world. You watched Kaido display his armament hockey, and gained insights from it, and deduced the method of training armament hockey. Countless images flashed in his mind like a kaleidoscope, and the armed color domineering gradually untied his clothes, and all the mysteries were revealed in front of Yuen. You have successfully mastered the method of practicing armament hockey. You awaken armament hockey. Yuen's body trembled, and he gradually came back to his senses, just in time to hear Kaido's words. Don't think it's easy for me to release armament hockey. It's very difficult for you to understand it with your strength. It's impossible to master armament hockey in a few days. No, it's not. Kaido was halfway through his speech when his tone suddenly changed. His eyes widened suddenly, and he stared at Yun as if he had seen a ghost. To be more precise, he was looking at his palm, which was glowing with black light. Yun was stretching out his palm, which was wrapped in a layer of black shiny substance, which was extremely clear and eye-catching under the moonlight. Armament hockey, hardened. You use armament hockey, and you have a clearer understanding of the operation of hockey. You seem to have a different understanding, but you need more time to verify it. Not only Yun's palms were hard at the same time, but also Kaido and Charlotte Linlin. They were completely frozen when they saw this scene. Charlotte Linlin looked down at Yun's palm, which was glowing with black light. Her pupils trembled violently, and her voice became full of astonishment. Armament hockey! You actually mastered it! Kaido learned it before he finished teaching? You were always so domineering! Kaido screamed, looking incredulous. No, I just learned it. As Yun spoke, his brows suddenly furrowed, the black light in his palm quickly receded, and a flash of enlightenment passed through his mind. My current physical condition is not strong enough to support the display of domineering power. The technique is very simple for me. What is most lacking is physical strength accumulation. As long as your physical strength improves, everything will fall into place. At this moment, Yun's confidence was stronger than ever before. I just learned. Kaido opened his mouth, but the sound seemed to be stuck in his throat and couldn't come out. Genius? Monster? Evildoer? Who on earth is he? Charlotte Linlin was also a little dazed. She saw the armament hockey on Yun's palm fade away, and she knew clearly that it was a sign of insufficient physical strength. In other words, this guy is physically weak, but he learned armament hockey right after Kaido demonstrated it once? Is this really possible? Charlotte Linlin fell into confusion, even suspecting that she was still dreaming. She slapped Kaido with her backhand, causing Kaido's body to lean forward uncontrollably, and even a roar was heard, showing how powerful the explosion was. Linlin! Why are you hitting lousy? The confused Kaido became even more confused. I'm sure I'm not dreaming, Charlotte Linlin said confidently. Yuen. Are these two funny guys really the future four emperors? Funny, isn't it? This also allowed him to see the ordinary side of the future four emperors. You seem like a genius! Charlotte Linlin expressed her approval once again after praising Yuen's grilling skills. Even Charlotte Linlin found what was happening before her eyes unbelievable and shocking. How can someone master domineering power without meeting the conditions to activate it? It's simply the opposite of Tian Gang. No, how did you display your domineering power? Kaido's eyes widened as round as copper bells and he questioned in a muffled voice. Yuen waved his hands, seeming to still be experiencing the armament hockey just now, and looked up to explain. I just watched you perform it, and then I found a way. Such an explanation is tantamount to showing off. It's easier said than drinking water. Kaido. Why do I suddenly have the urge to slap this guy to death? How old are you? Charlotte Linlin asked the key question. 17. That's right, Yun is about the same age as Luffy was when he first set out to sea. Linlin took a deep breath and said with emotion. If you had practiced since childhood, you would not be weaker than us now. Hearing these words from the ant's mouth was enough to show her affirmation of Yuen. Linlin, who had always been called a monster, felt like she had seen a real monster. At this moment, both Charlotte Linlin and Kaido noticed that Yun was unusual. To put it more clearly, Yun's behavior of learning armament hockey just now was heaven-defying beyond common sense. Even the well-informed Charlotte Linlin and Kaido found it incredible. What about observation hockey? Yuen asked impatiently. When the three colors of domineering aura are cultivated to the extreme, they will change. What's more, he has the ability of heaven defying, and just now he seemed to have found a new way to use armament hockey, so he became more and more eager for observation hockey. Charlotte Linlin restrained her expression and said seriously, "Observation hockey is more difficult than armament hockey. It is a mental state and it is difficult to manifest it physically. If you practice it to a certain level, you could even predict the future." As she spoke, she had already released her observation hockey. However, it is difficult for the naked eye to capture the trajectory of the visible and hearing colors. However, this was not a problem for Yuan. You watched Charlotte Linlin perform observation hockey, comprehended the heaven-defying trigger, and analyzed the core mystery of observation hockey. You successfully comprehended the method of practicing observation hockey. You awakened your observation hockey. A series of prompts flashed through my mind quickly. Yuan had countless insights, and in an instant he successfully mastered the observation hockey. The auntie at the side was still explaining the observation hockey and teaching how to control it. Suddenly, she saw Yuan in a trance and subconsciously thought of a possibility. She stopped teaching and stared at Yuan. "Yuan? Ah? What's wrong?" Yuan was confused. "I suspect you have already mastered the observation hockey." Charlotte Linlin's eyes lit up, full of sexual interest. "You know all this?" Yuan looked incredulous, but there was a smile on his face. "Armament hockey and observation hockey are obtained. Originally, I wanted to get the gold coins from the Golden Lion, but in the end, it was Kaido and Big Mom who got exploded." "Have you really mastered the observation hockey?" Kaido looked as if he had seen a ghost. At this moment, he finally understood the meaning of the word monster. "It's easy to understand." Yuan spoke eloquently, describing the mysteries of observation hockey exactly, shocking Charlotte Linlin and Kaido with their jaws dropped to the ground. With terrifying talent and powerful comprehension, if he is not a monster, then who is? Strangeness. How could there be such a perverted guy? "Oh, lol, Yuan, you are amazing. With your talent, you will be qualified to drink with Laozi in the future." Kaido laughed heartily after coming back to his senses, and he was quite impressed with Yuan. The strange laughter finally made Yuan realize that Oda was not lying to him. "I'm becoming more and more interested in you." Charlotte Linlin did the same, looking at the petite Yuan with admiration, her expression becoming more and more satisfied. They did not feel jealous at all because of the monster's talent, but were very open-minded. On the contrary, they all tried to recruit people. Hearing Kaido's words, Yuan felt slightly delighted. It was really beyond his expectation that the relationship would develop so quickly. In this way, maybe I can learn more from them. Stop. Linlin, what the hell is that way you look at a stud? So, sexual interest. Is that kind of sexual interest? Yuan felt a chill on his back and his smile froze. Given the difference in strength between the two, it was obvious who would be put in all kinds of positions. "I don't want to be played with." Charlotte Linlin showed great sexual interest in Yuan, and the desire to have a child became inexplicably strong. "Ahem, where is the conqueror's domineering?" Yuan quickly changed the subject. Hearing this, Charlotte Linlin couldn't help laughing. She just had the idea, and she hadn't yet reached the point of forcing someone to do something. "Mama, conqueror's domineering cannot be taught. It is innate. It is the qualification of a king, and you alone cannot withstand our conqueror's domineering." Yuan pouted. "Well, to put it bluntly, I just don't want to teach anymore." As she spoke, Charlotte Linlin stood up, patted Yuan's shoulder with her big hand, and encouraged him. "Come on, when you pass the pirate banquet, I will consider having a child with you." "Yuan, I am not blessed enough to enjoy it." "Damn it. This woman really treats Laozi as a stud." Looking at the size difference between the two, Yuan felt a little weak before he was even drained of energy. "Oh my! Linlin, you are so crazy." Even Kaido couldn't help laughing and complaining. Yuan gritted his teeth and accepted it for the sake of gold coins. Then he asked about physical training. Under the instruction of Big Mom and Kaido, his combat ability improved rapidly. The energy he had previously absorbed was absorbed into his body more quickly during his practice, and his body became stronger and stronger. If you take off your clothes, you can find that Yuan's body has revealed clear muscle lines, his skin is tighter than before, and his burst of power finally has a certain lethality. The belly of the oriental fish is white. The morning light slowly tears through the night, driving out the moonlight. A brand new day is dawning. Beehive Island. The huge skull-shaped rock stands like an invisible flag in the center of the island, announcing the power of the ruler to every pirate who sets foot on the island. Charlotte Linlin and Kaido walked side by side, discussing in low voices. You say, what kind of talent does Yun have? He is obviously weak, but he can master hockey. Kaido's majestic figure made a low voice with a hint of doubt. Charlotte Linlin said thoughtfully, it may be a special physique. After all, he can eat so much. I suspect he eats more than me. The fact that he can master domineering power so quickly proves his talent for cultivation. This is the real conversation between the two, expressing their views on Yuan. So, do you also think he can awaken conquerors? Kaido said. It's very likely. We'll see later. Charlotte Linlin said ambiguously. Should we tell Captain Rox about this? Kaido deliberately lowered his voice. Charlotte Linlin looked thoughtful, and after a moment she said slowly, who knows where the captain is? We'll see what happens. Let's go and give him some guidance these few days, and try to help him pass the pirate banquet, and then quietly recruit him under my command. Once his talent is revealed, he will inevitably have to compete with those guys. Kaido nodded. I understand, but this pirate banquet is not simple. Yesterday, John just recruited an animal-type devil fruit user, and the bounty is not low. If Yun encounters him, he will be in trouble. Pirate party, suddenly it seems interesting. Charlotte Linlin chuckled as she thought of something. Everyone in the Rocks Pirates has his own plans, and Charlotte Linlin and Kaido are considered allies. Kaido is not the captain of the team, and he is even under Linglin's command. Yuan is still practicing on the beach. You practice physical training and gain insights into the methods of practice. After deduction, you create a physical training method, 100-bone body tempering technique. 100-bone body strengthening technique. Strengthen the body through special muscle and bone movements. The 100-bone body strengthening technique is, after all, about controlling the body. It strengthens the physique and greatly improves combat abilities. Yuan thought silently, but his body kept moving. The muscles all over his body were absorbing the warm current flowing from his abdomen, stabilizing and strengthening his body. I took in a lot of energy last night, enough to sustain a day of practice. While his body was spontaneously performing physical training techniques, his mind was comprehending the hockey of armament and hockey of observation. Under the effect of your Heaven Defying, your armament hockey has become more and more perfect, and you have successfully created armament hockey divine armor. Under the effect of Heaven Defying, you perceived the evolved form of observation hockey and successfully comprehended observation hockey divine consciousness. His new forms of armament hockey and observation hockey. Yuan took a deep breath. He really didn't expect that Heaven Defying would really be Heaven Defying. Even his armament hockey and observation hockey had evolved into new forms. He couldn't wait to test the power of the divine armor and divine consciousness. The essence of armament hockey, divine armor, is still armament hockey. There is no difference in appearance, but its strength has increased by 3 to 5 times. This means that the strength of my armament hockey will always be more than 3 times that of a strong person of the same level. If Yuan had stronger strength, then the power of the divine armor would be truly revealed, and he might even be able to challenge opponents of higher levels. The seeing and hearing color and the divine consciousness have become more ethereal and magical. When it reaches a certain strength, it can still predict and foresee the future, but its core ability is detection. Even detection at the cellular level. How is this similar to spiritual soul power? Yuan was slightly stunned, and always felt that observation and hearing color spiritual sense would be extremely important to him. The mind moved slightly. The spiritual consciousness is released and covers the body. He felt the subtle changes in his muscles, bones, and internal organs, and even deeper, all the cells in his body were cheering and absorbing the warm current of energy. A new idea suddenly occurred to Yuan. You use the seeing and hearing color and spiritual consciousness to check for subtle changes in your body, and based on the source swallowing technique, you create a cell source swallowing technique that perfectly matches your own foundation. Cellular engulfment technique. Perfectly refine and absorb external energy to improve the body at the cellular level. He slightly activated the cell engulfment technique, and the remaining warmth in his abdomen quickly dissipated and silently merged into all the cells in his body, causing Yuan's skin to feel a little hot. The energy that originally took a day to digest and absorb can now be absorbed in just a few minutes. It's like a piece of scrap iron that sublimates after being forged in a furnace. If someone were to touch him nearby, they might be able to feel Yuan's hot skin. Cell phagocytosis. It is 100 times more powerful than the source swallowing technique. Yuan's eyes revealed deep shock. The physical changes at this time were completely beyond expectations. Evolution and improvement at the cellular level is the beginning of transformation. With the cell-devouring technique, my physical strength will grow extremely fast in a short period of time, and my domineering aura will also grow. There was a strong sense of confidence in his eyes, and he was suddenly not so afraid of the pirate banquet, but instead full of fighting spirit. Clang! Yuan gripped the samurai sword tightly, sword energy flowed, the slashing attack condensed, and he slashed out suddenly. Call out! Boom! The sword, which was at least 10 feet long, landed on the sea surface, causing a violent impact that made the sea water in a small area boil. Yuan was overjoyed. Yesterday's slash was only the size of a palm, but now it's not only 10 feet, but the sword energy is even stronger and more powerful. Everyone would be excited about growth that is visible to the naked eye. Bang! Under the dull sound, a layer of shining black substance covered the blade, like a black knife. Entangled in armed colors. He had mastered the armor of the godly armor, so entanglement and externalization were a piece of cake for him. Especially with the help of the awakening of spiritual consciousness, it is easier for him to comprehend other things. Finally, I have some real strength! Yuan stared at the changes in the blade, with a smile on his face. Then he started eating like crazy. Under the action of cellular phagocytosis, the energy taken in is quickly absorbed and integrated into the whole body. The body transforms quietly and the blood increases as the warm energy flows over and over again. That night, Charlotte Linlin and Kaido came to the beach to find Yuan again. The three of them ate heartily at the same time. Yuan once again burst out with ability from Charlotte Linlin. You use your spiritual sense to quietly explore Charlotte Linlin's skin structure, triggering your heaven-defying comprehension, and deeply analyzing the mystery of the iron balloon. You successfully created the iron balloon practice method. Special physique, iron balloon, entry stage, advanced stage, perfect stage. 3 stages. That's right, the iron balloon is a special talent. It's impossible to master it directly. It needs to be mastered step by step. Yuan was thoughtful, his eyes flickering. What I lack most right now is physical strength. Even if I can achieve the entry level of steel balloon, it will be of great benefit to me. So, next goal. Focus on improving your strength. Try to master the basics of steel balloon as soon as possible. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. The undercurrent on Honeycomb Island is surging, and the situation on the sea is changing rapidly. The battle between pirates and marines becomes more intense. Garp and Sengoku have become famous and have taken on the responsibility of marine. The Roger pirates gradually became the largest pirate force under the rocks. But these situations have nothing to do with Yuan for the time being. That day, Yuan woke up from his practice. The food he ate in the past few days was more than an average person would eat in their entire life, and it even caused a significant decrease in the fish in the coastal waters, which could no longer meet his cultivation needs. But the harvest is huge. It's a complete change compared to when I first crossed over. The handsome face loses its childishness and gains a bit of determination. The body is more upright, and the well-defined muscles give people a sense of strength. Even the height seems to have increased by several centimeters, ushering in a second growth. But compared with Kaido and Linlin, she is still petite. I'm afraid there is still a long way to go before Linlin can be put in 18 different poses. The practice of iron balloon has not been neglected, and there is a tendency to get started under the energy tempering chain. Who? Yuan suddenly turned around and shouted, his eyes flashing with vigilance. Oh, you are alert enough! With a sneer, a young man appeared in Yuan's sight, holding a samurai sword engraved with blue flame patterns. What's your name? Victor? Yuan frowned and thought. A familiar name popped up in his mind. Victor, your uncle. My name is Victor Tun. Victoron jumped up and down and yelled, breaking down his defense on the spot. Without saying a word, he pointed his knife at Yuan. His purpose was self-evident. Rubbish name. Yuan sneered. His eyes gradually became sharp, and his hand quietly clenched the samurai sword beside him. The reason why I have an impression of this person is entirely because of his weapon, Blue Flame, one of the 21 large swords. The blade was engraved with flame-like patterns, and under the sunlight it seemed to be moving, like a blazing blue flame. Logically speaking, Victoron's strength is not enough to own such a famous sword. But what can we do if we are lucky? The subtle changes in his seeing and hearing color and spiritual consciousness have significantly improved Yuan's perception. Just now, when Victoron was hiding behind, he released murderous emotions, which were easily detected by him. Killing intent. You have already received your death. Yuan brushed the blade lightly with his palm and raised his eyebrows. This is not a child's play. What? Whittleton was startled. Since you have drawn your sword, you must be prepared to die. Yuan grinned, his eyes full of joy. The handsome young man who looked harmless actually had a bit of cold and fierce aura at this moment. He was just worrying about how he had no way to test his own strength, but just as he was dozing off, the pillow was handed to him. Especially, Blue Flame looks very cool. Perhaps because of the swordsmanship he learned at the beginning of his time travel, it influenced Yuan's mentality and made him classify himself as a swordsman. So how can a good swordsman not have a good sword in his hand? What's more, Yuan has already mastered the secret of cutting steel and can be called a swordsman. Ha ha ha, you're such a shameless kid. How dare you, a guy like you who hasn't even fully grown all his hair, say such things? Victoron sneered grimly, not taking the young man in front of him seriously at all. No hair growing out. Is this how the pirate world likes to describe people? You were spying on me while I was in the bathroom? Yuan sneered. What did you say? Victoron was confused. Who the hell has that kind of fetish? Then how do you know I haven't fully grown? Don't talk about things you haven't seen. Laozi is not some little devil. When he shows me his mighty dragon bird, it will make you feel inferior to death. Yuan took a step forward, ready to swing his knife. Laozi, Jiangnan Guanxi, big stuff and good life. Never accept any slander. What a weird guy. Victoron's face darkened. Although he didn't know what Lonke meant, he clearly felt that it was not a good thing. When he saw Yuan's actions, his disdain grew stronger, and he snorted coldly. I have the 21st grade Blue Flame, a big sharp sword in my hand. You think you can fight me with the scrap metal in your hand? If you kneel down and crawl through my crotch, I can still spare your life. His main purpose was to learn the secret of the chopping sword technique from Yuan. So much bullshit. You still want to show off when you look like this? Laozi is not Han Xian. Humiliation under the crotch? Die to Laozi. Yuan cursed and swore. He couldn't stand the other party's hesitation. If you want to fight, just do it directly. Save your trash talk for the King of Hell. He suddenly leaned forward. Brush. The blade shone with a cold and sharp luster, flashing before Victoron's eyes. You really dare to do that? You're looking for death. Victoron's face turned cold. He didn't expect that Yuan was so ignorant of the consequences. He leaned forward suddenly, swinging his arms, and the blue flame slashed across his hands, slashing towards the broken knife that reached in front of him. Ding dong! The scene that Victoron had envisioned of blue flame cutting off the broken sword did not happen. Instead, he was knocked back several steps by the huge recoil force. The numbness in his arm caused his face to change drastically, and he exclaimed in surprise. Impossible! How can you have such a strong power? That is armament hockey! Victoron didn't care about his numb palms, and looked at the black substance shining on the blade with a look of astonishment. Armament hockey! It's actually armed color domineering. Didn't this kid say he had never practiced before? Why do you master armament hockey? Have you been fooled? Wrong. So Captain Shiki was also fooled? Victoron's head itches a little, as if he's about to grow a brain. The most important thing is that I haven't mastered the armament hockey yet. However, reality does not allow for hesitation. A flash of light passed by. The slash took shape in Yuan's hand and fell at a rapid speed. As he swung out the slashing blow, he turned around and took out a broken sword from somewhere, and unleashed multiple slashing blows. More than a dozen slashing blows brought up strong winds and fell as densely as raindrops. Drink! Victoron wielded the blue flame, and blue fiery slashes broke out in an instant, slashing out continuously. This scene made Yuan's eyes light up and he muttered to himself. As expected of the 21st worker, it comes with special effects. The blue, fiery slash was much cooler than Yuan's monotonous white slash. If you don't act cool, you're young. Blue flame is from Lizzie. Even Jesus coming won't help. Yuan, excited to see the prey, showed his full aura, rushed forward at high speed with knives in both hands, and moved like a fluttering kazekage, leaving behind a tiny afterimage. Victoron's eyes narrowed, and he swung his sword with all his strength, slashing in front of him. The sharp blade slightly tore the air apart, and its power was quite terrifying. The seeing, hearing, and spiritual consciousness are displayed silently. As expected, Yuan twisted his body strangely, and suddenly burst out with even faster speed to avoid the frontal blade. The next second, his figure appeared beside Victoron. The broken knife flew by like a feather, cutting the fragile throat. Yuan stabbed Whittleton in the throat from the side. The artery ruptured and blood plasma gushed out. There was fear in Victoron's eyes, and a gray color of death shrouded them. How come he's so fast? How did he dodge his attack like a prophet? The doubts in my heart gradually turned into fear and sorrow of death. Yuan's face was tense, and he did not show the joy he should have for his victory. After all, it was the first time I killed someone with my own hands, so I couldn't help feeling a little strange. But fortunately, he had strong self-regulation ability, and knew that he had to do something at this time, so he said, breathe deeply, it's normal to feel dizzy. Shiki, the golden lion hiding in the dark, couldn't hold back when he saw this scene, and the corners of his mouth twitched violently. After so many years of traveling across the ocean, this is the first time I have seen such a perverted murder scene. Take a deep breath. Is it normal to feel dizzy? This guy might be a devil. I haven't seen Yuan for a few days, but he has become so much stronger? When did you learn armament hockey? The final prophetic observation hockey? Where did this kid learn this domineering attitude? Victoron lost his life amid the devil's whispers and became the first soul killed by Yuan. This proves one thing. If you don't seek death, you won't die. Yuan kicked up the blue flame, reached out to grasp the hilt, and immediately showed a satisfied look. The knife was stuck in Victoron's neck and was obviously discarded. Yuan simply glanced down at blue flame, then turned and shouted to the woods behind him. Hello, Captain Shiki? The golden lion's surprised voice immediately came from the woods. Huh! If it wasn't you, how did you find Lousy? From the beginning, Golden Lion was in the dark, wanting to see how Yuan would handle the current situation. The result was naturally a big surprise, and I was filled with doubts. He couldn't help but feel stunned by the strength displayed by Yuan. All this was really beyond his expectations. Can you even discover yourself? The Golden Lion walked out slowly with a shocked look on his face. Although his burly figure was not as tall as Kaido and Charlotte Linlin, the oppressive feeling was even greater. The three legendary pirates after rocks, Roger, Whitebeard, and Golden Lion. Golden Lion Shiki was just killed by the plot, not weak. No one else can have such a domineering aura like a lion except Captain Shiki. After all, you are the strongest captain. Yuan's smile was very flattering, and he was secretly excited. Could it be that Golden Lion suddenly came to me because he had found some clues through the pirate banquet? Ha ha ha, you've got good taste. The Golden Lion laughed loudly. He enjoyed the flattery so much that he ignored for a moment how Yuan sensed him. Have you told Captain Rox about my situation? Yuan asked impatiently. Captain Rox hasn't come back yet. Golden Lion Shiki said carelessly. Yuan, why are you looking for me if I haven't come back? It's a waste of Laozi's flattery, right? What's that look in your eyes? Laozi hasn't asked you what's wrong yet, but you're asking Laozi first? Shiki, the Golden Lion, looked at Yuan's constipated appearance and got angry. Tell me the truth, Armament Haki, what's with the observation Haki? Yuan smiled awkwardly. Well, I met Charlotte Linlin and Kaido by chance, and learned how to use Haki from them. The Golden Lion's eyes widened, just like a lion, and he asked in shock. You are the one who just learned how to be domineering? He thought that Yuan was hiding his incompetence and his domineering nature. But the next second he felt something was wrong. I have checked Yuan's body. He is in extremely weak condition. Not to mention mastering domineering power, he would be exhausted even if he ran 1,000 meters. How did he suddenly master the domineering power and kill Victoron? Before Yuan could open his mouth to explain, the impatient Golden Lion strode forward, searched his body for a while, and when he was done he looked as if he had seen a ghost. What on earth have you been through? You've become so much stronger in just a few days. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. Shiki the Golden Lion frowned as he encountered the most incomprehensible mystery of his life. The young man in front of him was extremely weak a few days ago, but now he is full of energy, and his physical strength has increased many times. Is it really the same person? Shiki was really confused. Ever since I learned how to chop that day, I've noticed that my appetite has grown a lot, and the more I eat, the more my body changes. Yuan unleashed the excuse he had prepared long ago. Charlotte Linlin and Kaido said I might have awakened some special talent. This explanation was thought up by Yuan later, which resulted in a slight difference between the Golden Lion version and Charlotte Linlin's version, but it didn't affect anything. Special talent. The first thing that Shiki, the Golden Lion, thought of was of course Charlotte Linlin's steel balloon. Then, looking at Yuan, he accepted his statement. After all, even Charlotte Linlin admitted that it was a special talent, so what else could he say? Besides, if it wasn't a special talent, how could one explain the changes in the boy before him? But even if it's a special talent, this is fucking outrageous. Yuan acted as if he knew nothing, and looked at Shiki with a harmless look. Shiki the Golden Lion couldn't think of any other possibilities and could only passively accept Yuan's abnormal talent. However, he immediately thought of another thing and asked with a stern face. So you've joined Charlotte Linlin? You, the old man, just don't care about anything and don't give me any chance to get gold coins. Do you still have any objection when I ask others to get gold coins? I dare to think so in my heart, but I dare not say it out loud. Yuan immediately forced out a bright smile and explained. I would never do such a thing. I earned my dominance through the fruits of my labor. He immediately told the whole story about the grilled fish. Shiki the Golden Lion was quite satisfied with this explanation, and his face became much better. He taught. If you really want to join Linlin, think about whether your quail-like body can bear it. It's no secret that Linlin is looking for a stud. Yuan. Laozi is not a quail anymore. Besides, Laozi would never be a stud. This also gave him a headache. Charlotte Linlin obviously wanted to recruit me, and the Golden Lions treated me as one of their own. How to decide then? One is a blonde lion, the other is as fierce as a wolf. He can't bear to offend either of them. What's the meaning of your lost look? Do you really want to have a baby with Linlin? Don't say Lousy didn't remind you that in Linlin's eyes, men are just tools for having children. Golden Lion was amazed and thought that you and I really have some thoughts about Charlotte Linlin. Hee hee. How is that possible? I'm innocent, don't worry, I'm very rational. Yuan patted his chest and assured. His eyes were just rolling around quietly, as if he was thinking about how to get gold coins from the Golden Lion. That's good to know. Golden Lion Shiki crossed his arms, looking as if he would never dare to betray Lousy, but his eyes glanced at the knife in Yuan's hand. Yuan? Something is wrong. Is this old man trying to steal my knife? Ahem, Captain Shiki, this knife should be considered my trophy, right? Yuan hugged the knife tightly in his arms and laughed dryly. Of course, if Shiki the Golden Lion really wanted it, he could only say that he was powerless to resist. Spoils of war? Do you understand the rules? New pirates are not allowed to kill each other before attending a pirate banquet. You have violated a big taboo now. The Golden Lion Shiki stared at Yuan with a smile, which made Yuan feel creepy. Shiki, the Golden Lion of Blue Flame, who belongs to the Great Sword 21, is naturally interested. It's just that I can't do it directly because of my face. He was the one who caused trouble for me first. Yuan retorted with his neck stiff. But he's dead. Lousy has the final say on the truth. Golden Lion Shiki snorted coldly and glanced at Yuan, enjoying the feeling of controlling others. Damn Victor, why did you bother me for no reason? You deserve to die. After cursing, Yuan's face immediately fell, and he said pitifully, Captain Shiki, you are a strong man who is famous in the sea. Marines flee when they hear your reputation. You won't really take my knife, right? Shiki, the Golden Lion, laughed and scolded. You cunning boy, I'm not in the mood to snatch a broken knife, I'm just teasing you. I don't know if it was the flattery or some other reason, but Shiki actually gave up the idea of owning the Blue Flame. To be honest, Victoron is useless. He has nothing but shitty luck. He has a knife that belongs to the 21st class of big sharp swords. He lives on Beehive Island. He can't escape the first day of the month. And also got it from other pirates. Yuan seemed to realize this and felt a little heavy-hearted. I was so focused on showing off that I almost forgot that the innocent man is guilty of possessing a treasure. If you don't practice quickly, you will be the next victor. Thank you, Captain Shiki, for the sword. Yuan grinned, but held the knife tighter with both hands. Shiki the Golden Lion was speechless and said unhappily, I'll help you settle this matter. Now let's talk about the pirate banquet. When the pirate banquet was mentioned, Yuan pricked up his ears to listen. Although Captain Rox has not returned, he has sent someone back with the prize for the pirate banquet, a devil fruit. Devil fruit? What kind? Yuan's eyes lit up and he was very interested. How would Lousy know? Shiki waved his hand and continued nonchalantly. From your fight just now, being able to kill Victoron in seconds proves that you have some strength. Why not go to the pirate banquet to fight for the devil fruit? Yuan finally reacted. Lao dang. Just say you can't do it. Golden Lion tried to get Yuan to volunteer to attend the pirate banquet in a roundabout way to cover up the boast he had made. Okay, I will definitely attend the pirate banquet. Yuan nodded, and did not expose Golden Lion, but agreed very readily. As their strength grows, the pirate banquet is no longer as scary as it was at the beginning. What's more, there is a devil fruit as a prize. The devil fruit that Rox took out is very likely a mythical beast. Yuan had some expectations in his heart, and even imagined what kind of devil fruit it would be and how much it would increase his strength. You kid, you won't regard the devil fruit as your own, right? Shiki the Golden Lion couldn't help but complain. Even if you kill Victoron in seconds, your strength can barely rank in the top 10. Do you really treat the Rox Pirates pirate party as a game? When you were teaching swordsmanship, wasn't Victor an outstanding figure? Yuan asked subconsciously. Victoron's name was changed after his death, and he must have died with regrets. You are just fools without support. The real pirates with some strength have already joined the captains and practiced in silence. When Laozi talked about this, he was furious. When Laozi was not around, they took away all the people and left a bunch of people behind. Crooked melons and inferior dates. The Golden Lion Shiki was quite angry and complained harshly. Yoon was speechless. So I am one of the ugly ones you mentioned. So asking rocks to open a back door was a trick from the beginning? No wonder Charlotte Linlin refused so straightforwardly. I didn't expect you to give Laozi a surprise. Realizing that he had let the cat out of the bag, Shiki quickly tried to make amends. Your strength was indeed not good enough before, but your improvement speed is very abnormal. If you are lucky, you may be able to fight for the devil fruit, so Laozi is going to personally guide you. You only think of me because you have no one. Old Deng. There really isn't a single good pirate among them. Yuan cried silently in his heart. It turned out that he was just a part of your play. The squad leaders are not convinced of each other's opinions. The existence of rocks makes it difficult for them to do things on their own. So they can show off if they have powerful subordinates. The reason is simple. Although he had no hope for pirates at first, after the actual experience, Yuan realized more deeply how insidious pirates were. It's not dissatisfaction, it's just the basic rule of survival. Yuan didn't care about these fancy calculations, but was very interested in the personal teaching of the Golden Lion Shiki, and immediately said honestly, Thank you very much, Captain Shiki. Lao Deng, please explode the gold coins quickly. Of course, Shiki, the Golden Lion, doesn't know what Yuan is really thinking. If he knew, he would definitely be slapped in the face and his head would fly off. After that, Yuan learned swordsmanship from Shiki. With the blue flame, one of the 21 skills of the Great Sword, and with the personal instruction of the Golden Lion and his heaven-defying comprehension, Yuan's mastery of swordsmanship has made rapid progress. The combat power skyrocketed. At the same time, physical fitness improvement was also not left behind. With the help of the Golden Lion, Yuan can eat the highest quality food every day, and his physical strength has been greatly enhanced. The cytophagy technique was running every moment, and Yuan was like steel in a furnace, becoming purer with constant forging. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. I believe what I saw with my own eyes. You are a bottomless pit. Golden Lion held a cigar in one hand and a wine bowl in the other, and took a sip of wine. Yuan, sitting opposite him, put down the last plate and wiped his mouth, looking like he was not full yet. Ho? Laozi is a big dragon bird, okay. Hee, if I had more of this food I might be full. Yuan laughed. The table in front of him was filled with empty plates. It was no exaggeration to say that he was almost overwhelmed. Get lost. Shiki cursed with a smile, then said seriously. I didn't expect your strength to grow so abnormally. With your current strength, you can probably rank in the top 5 among these pirates. This is only the top 5, Yuan said in surprise. Even though his strength has increased several times, he is still so weak? John recruited a pirate with a bounty of 30 million, who is also a devil fruit user. Silver Axe has a sniper with a bounty of more than 20 million. How much bounty do you think you are worth? Golden Lion took a puff of his cigar. Yoon was silent. In this era, bounties are real. A pirate with a bounty of over 100 million is already very powerful. Tens of millions of bounties were nothing to be underestimated by Yuan, and he was not even his opponent. Why don't you say anything? You were hit? Golden Lion Shiki chuckled and looked at Yoon with interest. He looked calm on the outside, but his heart had already been paralyzed by Yuanjin. He saw Yoon's physical growth in his eyes. The Golden Lion had never seen such a terrifying talent in his life, and he relied on eating to strengthen his body. And perverted understanding. No matter what swordsmanship the Golden Lion teaches, Yoon can instantly understand it. What is this if it's not a perversion? Until now, the Golden Lion is numb in his heart, and pays more and more attention to Yoon. If you have such a fierce general beside you, Why worry about not being able to dominate the sea? Golden lions are extremely ambitious. In other words, the guys in the Rocks pirates all have great ambitions, but they are only gathered together because of the strength of Rocks. Once Rocks is gone, these tigers will each rush into the sea and write their own legends. 3 of the future 4 emperors were once members of the Rocks pirates, and their gold content is self-evident. But even so, the Golden Lion was still extremely shocked by Yoon's talent. How could that be? I just wish I had more time. Yoon sighed slightly, shaking his head and sighing. After getting along with each other for a few days, Yoon gained new views on Golden Lion. Although he is a bit sinister and likes to show off, he is very generous, carefree and has a heroic temperament. Yoon flatters him from time to time, which makes the boundary between superior and subordinate between the two people much weaker, and they feel somewhat comfortable getting along with each other. Golden Lion Shiki not only did not refute, but also nodded and affirmed. Well, if I give you another 10 days, none of these new pirates will be your opponent. Obviously, it only took a week to reach the strength of tens of millions of bounties, and the speed of improvement was abnormal. But the overall strength is still not enough. He couldn't believe what Yoon would have achieved if he had more time. Beyond yourself? Or surpass Captain Rocks? Yoon himself didn't know that Golden Lion had such great expectations for him. Yoon looked disappointed, stood up and said, I'm going to practice. You are such a diligent kid. Shiki grinned and encouraged. Okay, you can take care of the rest of the time. The pirate banquet starts tomorrow night, so you try to perform well. I'll show off and let you show off, right? Yoon nodded, then left the Golden Lion and came to the familiar beach to start practicing. In fact, Golden Lion Shiki's judgment of Yoon is not accurate. The strength Yoon showed was just normal. If you use the weapon color Divine Armor and the sight color Divine Consciousness, the combat power can be increased 3 to 4 times. Plus the entry-level, Steel Balloon. Most pirates can't even break through Yoon's defense. You continue to comprehend Conqueror's Haki, comprehend deeper mysteries, and you successfully awaken the new form of Conqueror's Haki Kamui. You create Conqueror's domineering training method. It's done! Yoon smiled with satisfaction. Conqueror's Haki develops a stronger form. Conqueror's domineering energy burst out from the Golden Lion, but it never showed up. It wasn't until I was alone that I began to understand. Successfully develop new forms and create practices. Conqueror's Haki is a natural awakening. It cannot be cultivated and can only be passively enhanced. But Yoon created the heaven-defying Conqueror's training method. Once exposed, the entire sea will go crazy. I got all 3 colors of domineering, Divine Armor, Divine Consciousness, Kamui. I have made some progress in my physique and swordsmanship. It's getting more and more exciting. As Yoon looked out at the endless sea, the word freedom suddenly popped up in his mind. Sailing across the sea with unfettered freedom. Instead of sticking to the honeycomb island, they have to stay tense all the time in order to survive and find it difficult to relax. Only by becoming stronger can you control your own destiny. One day. Yoon's voice trailed off. A familiar voice came from behind me that I hadn't heard for several days. Yoon, I heard that you have been very close to Shiki the Golden Lion these days. Are you going to betray me? Charlotte Linlin said dissatisfiedly. The next second, Yoon was surrounded by 2 huge monsters. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. Laozi has nothing to do with you. Why did he betray you? But Yoon still subconsciously took a step back. After spending so much time with the Golden Lion, he suddenly felt uncomfortable with the size of these 2 monsters. He smiled and explained. No, I just learned some swordsmanship from him. It's just a deal. It has to be said that at this time, the true nature of Jiangnan Edison was exposed and he was playing 2 games at the same time. While he seeks refuge with the Golden Lion Shiki, he also wants to make friends with Charlotte Linlin. Pooh! Scumbag! Huh! Your strength is increasing so fast? Kaido was very surprised when he sensed Yun's aura. Charlotte Linlin's pretty eyes sparkled with a gleam of brilliance, and she threatened. You said you would come to be my chef at the pirate banquet. If you don't keep your word, don't blame me for being rude. After seeing Yuan's talent, she also wanted to recruit him into her team. Yuan nodded hurriedly, feeling like crying but unable to cry. Oh my God! This woman only knows how to let lousy cook for her, and she doesn't know how to use any tricks or beauty traps. I think I can tolerate it a little. Complaints are complaints, but it is certain that there will be confusion. Golden Lion Shiki and Charlotte Linlin, what should they do? But soon Yuan stopped worrying about this issue. He thought that if something came, he would fight it with his own strength. The pirate banquet had not started yet, so there was no point in worrying about what would happen next. As soon as I thought of this, my whole body suddenly became clear. Then he asked Kaido for advice again. It's not the level of exploding gold coins, but at least it's a good deal. The more you can get, the better. If you miss this opportunity, you will miss it forever. Another night of intensive practice. After dawn, Charlotte Linlin and Kaido left after enjoying their meal. Looking at the two people's mountain-like backs, Yuan touched his chin and thought secretly. When Linlin used the power of the soul fruit, I used my spiritual sense to quietly feel it. It seemed that I felt something different, but I couldn't fully grasp it. It's a pity. If I had a better understanding of the devil fruit, maybe I could really participate. Understand the secret of the devil fruit. Heaven Defying, as Yuan comes into contact with more and more things, his abnormalities become more and more obvious. No matter what, the pirate banquet will start tonight. We will finally meet those legendary monsters. Yuan stroked the blade of the blue flame blade, feeling a little bit of anticipation. Blue flame, the blade seemed to be glowing, as if it was also excited for the upcoming battle. The supreme sword. If I can master the art of swordsmithing, I may be able to forge my own supreme sword. The day passed quickly. Evening comes and night gradually falls. In the huge square under the skull in the center of Beehive Island, many pirates gathered, with bright bonfires and a warm atmosphere. There were several depressing figures sitting on the high platform. They are the captains of each division of the Rocks Pirates. An even more domineering figure sat at the top, looking down. The spiky hair-like head and the blood-red cape all highlight his identity. Rocks. The real pirate overlord. In this warm atmosphere, the newly joined pirates entered the wide square. Not surprisingly, this is their battlefield. Yoon was among the crowd, looking at the high platform from a distance. That's Rocks. The figure that makes one's heart palpitate is not tall, but the sense of oppression is unprecedentedly strong, even more terrifying than the Golden Lion Shiki. Whitebeard, Golden Lion, Linlin, Achaku, John, Silveraxe. There were also several figures that Yoon didn't recognize. A man who looks like a fishman, a man from the Four-Handed Clan. They are all pirates that have never been mentioned in later generations. Kaido, Stussy, Shaki, Fire, Flower, Kurizumi, Baguette. These are all in a sub-level position, and their status is obviously not as high as that of the white-bearded Golden Lion. Although Kaido is powerful enough, he has not been officially appointed as captain. Yoon just looked at it, and he knew a lot. Charlotte Linlin, Kaido, Kurizumi, and Longbread obviously knew each other from this time. Later, Kaido and Kurizumi cooperated to occupy the country of Wano, and Longbread followed Charlotte Linlin to establish the nations. As for Stussy and Flame Flower, they are both very beautiful and very gorgeous. Round, plump, and thick. Looking at them now, who would have thought that they would be short and stooped when they grow old? It's like the pirate empress turned into an old lady. There is really a big contrast. Shaki also has outstanding capabilities as an intelligence agent, and with his powerful intelligence capabilities, he also occupies a place on the stage. Everyone has to admire the power of the Rocks Pirates. After all, only the Rocks Pirates can make the sky full of stars. If nothing happens to Rocks, he might have a chance to rule all pirates. Stussy's beauty, maybe she really has an affair with Whitebeard. A ridiculous idea suddenly came into Yoon's mind, and he almost made himself laugh. But at this moment, thunderous laughter came, making Yoon suddenly come back to his senses. Ha ha ha, if you want to join Lousy, just show your strength. On the high seat in the first place, Rox put down his wine bowl and finally spoke. This also announced the official start of the pirate banquet. Yo ho! Another wonderful banquet. Last time, only a dozen people survived, right? It's so exciting. I think Lousy was killed in the same way. Ha ha ha, I can't wait to see them peeing in fear. The surrounding pirates who were already official members shouted loudly, seemingly more excited than the pirates attending the pirate banquet. It's not a big deal to just watch the excitement. The pirate banquet, to put it bluntly, is to entertain them with fighting and blood. There is no humanity at all. But you have become a pirate, so how can you be humane? Yoon frowned slightly. The arrogance around him made him very disgusted. After all, he came from time travel, and the education he received was not this barbaric way of treating people like hair and drinking blood. But he can't change anything, and he is still one of them. Oh shit! He cursed in a low voice, his heart burning with anger. The palm-holding blue flame was harder. We must not indulge in such absurdity. This is the bottom line Yoon has set for himself. There is always something special and persistent in the hearts of young people. But killing still has to happen. In today's situation, if you want to survive, you have to be cold-blooded. The complex and contradictory emotions made Yoon more and more angry, as if he would explode at any time. At Rock's instruction, Stussy walked forward holding a treasure chest. Hee hee, little cuties, this is your prize. Stussy covered her mouth and chuckled, but her eyes were very cold. As soon as she finished speaking, she threw the treasure chest in her hand out. The fullness of her chest was trembling slightly with this action, and it seemed as if it was about to burst out, causing many pirates in the audience to have nosebleeds. The pirates in the square were in no mood to appreciate the thrilling scene. All of them were staring at the treasure chest that was thrown over their heads like a shot put, their eyes burning with excitement. Devil fruit! This is the biggest reward of this pirate banquet. There was no need for anyone to give orders. All the pirates acted in unison. Kill! The devil fruit belongs to Lousy. Get out of here! I'll kill you all when Lousy eats the devil fruit! The shouts and cries were deafening, and a melee ensued. In this era, devil fruits are considered a symbol of power, and many people want to use the power of devil fruits to become stronger, even if it means becoming landlubbers. So the already fanatical pirates became even crazier. Clang! Yoon chopped the pirate who attacked him from the side with his sword, and his feet suddenly exploded, decisively pulling to the edge of the battlefield. If you stand in the middle of the melee mode, you won't even know how you died. You are attacked from all directions. You want to kill others, and there are also people who want to kill you. In a moment, the pungent smell of blood filled the air, and a pile of corpses lay on the ground. The most ferocious on the battlefield was a figure covered with pitch-black hair. Wherever his sharp claws reached, blood flowed like a river. Ewan looked at the figure from afar and his pupils shrank. Diakart, bounty 31 million, dog fruit, wolf form. He is definitely the most ruthless guy among these pirates. Just as he was observing Diakart's fighting style, his heart suddenly tightened and a great crisis was approaching. Before any reaction. Bite! A sniper bullet hit Ewan right in the back, but it was strangely embedded in his skin. Dinklang! The muscles contracted, forcing the bullet out of the body. It fell to the ground with a crisp sound, and the person who had made the move was stunned. A murderous look flashed across Yuan's eyes, his brows furrowed, and he slowly turned around. Fortunately, I have mastered the introductory stage of the iron balloon, and my skin's defense has been greatly enhanced. The sniper bullet only penetrates a layer of flesh and skin, which is not serious. Otherwise, I would have been killed by a sneak attack right from the start. Turn around and take a closer look at the person who attacked you. He was wearing a windbreaker, with 2 revolvers on his waist, a cowboy hat, and holding a sniper rifle, with the black muzzle of the gun pointed at Yuan. Seeing that Yuan was fine, he stood there in shock. How is that possible? What kind of defense is this? Physical defense to block your own sniper bullets? Is this still a human being? Baron couldn't believe it. His bounty was 25 million. Even Dyakart couldn't have survived his sniper bullet without getting hurt. But this guy only had a bloody wound? Sniper, the threat is really big. Yoon sneered. If it weren't for the steel balloon, I would have been dead. Baron's move successfully angered Yuan. The blue blade light flashed, and it slashed out sharply. No nonsense, just get started. Want to kill me? You have already got a way to die. Aegu, stop him! Baron retreated quickly, shouting at the person beside him. Ha ha, here it comes! A loud shout responded to Baron. Yoon turned his head. He saw a burly figure who was at least 3 meters tall rushing towards him, wielding a huge black axe. On the high platform, Rox led the Corps members to drink and eat meat while watching the fighting below. Huh! Silver Axe, who was covered in silver armor, suddenly asked in confusion. Who is that guy? How come I have never heard of him? Sniper Baron was a member recruited by Silver Axe, and he knew his strength very well. How is it possible that someone can withstand the penetration of a sniper bullet? He had a very clear grasp of the information about this group of pirates, but had never heard of this kind of person. No matter who he is, the final winner must be Lousy's man. John laughed softly, with a cunning look in his eyes. Dyakart is the member he recruited. He is undoubtedly the strongest among this group of pirates, and his bounty is as high as 31 million. Although it cannot be compared with those captains, it is still good as an after-dinner program. He was too lazy to pay attention to the rest. Snort! Under the armor, Silver Axe curled his lips, but his eyes were fixed on the fight between Baron and Yuan, fearing that something unexpected would happen. Golden Lion Shiki took a puff of his cigar, and his face flushed. The fact that Yuan could withstand the sniper bullet made him feel at ease and confident. The other side. Kaido was behind Charlotte Lin. Seeing this, he frowned and said, Lin, when did Yun's defense become so terrifying? Why does he look like a steel balloon? As an insider who is familiar with Yun's strength, Kaido felt that the scene just now was totally out of place. Iron balloon? Impossible, that's my natural talent. Charlotte Lin shook her head, uncertain. Maybe it's a change caused by Yun's own talent. The iron balloon is not that weak. That's right, it seems that Yuan is still hiding his strength, which really gives us a surprise. Kaido sighed, and then discarded his guess. That guy looks so familiar. He's the boy who ate so much food in the cafeteria. Wait, is that the Yuan you guys are talking about? His cooking skills are better than mine? Behind Charlotte Lin, she whispered in surprise. I didn't take Yuan seriously at all that day. Even when I heard Lin and Kaido talking about the guy named Yuan, I didn't connect the two together. Now it seems that I was wrong. Longbread rubbed his head, looking confused. It should be him. I didn't expect you also knew Yuan. Charlotte Lin smiled and didn't say much, but her eyes involuntarily glanced in Yuan's direction. Rox, who was in the first position, kept his head down from beginning to end, his eyes always on the food and wine in front of him, but no one doubted his control over the battlefield. He is absolutely watching every move of everyone on the battlefield. The huge axe swept across, causing a howling wind. Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly, and was very angry. He did not dodge or evade. He held the knife in his right hand and stretched out his left hand like a dragon claw. Armament-colored divine armor wrapped around. Bang! A violent collision occurred. Baron and Aegu can be said to be collaborators. One charges into battle while the other snipers from behind, and they cooperate very well. Agu's bounty is close to 20 million and he is very powerful. This sweep of the axe was extremely powerful. Even Yuan could hardly resist the pure explosion. His body was driven into a semicircle by the impact before he could keep his footing. Shit, catching the lousy broad axe with bare hands? Agu yelled and cursed loudly, with an expression of disbelief on his face. And just then, gunshots rang out. Bite! A crisp sound was heard. Yuan held the axe blade in his left hand and held the blue flame tightly in his right hand, slowly moving it away from his chest. The shot just now was blocked by the horizontal sword. This is impossible! How do you know where I'm going to attack? Baron stared with his eyes wide open, shouting in disbelief. It wasn't enough to break his defense, but it was just outrageous. Where did such a strong guy come from? He may not be able to understand the mystery of seeing, hearing, color, and consciousness. Yuan looked sullen and said nothing. He swung the knife suddenly with his backhand, and blue flames danced wildly, as if countless blue flames were burning on the blade, brilliant and violent. He held on to the axe blade tightly so that Agu could not get away. He moved forward slightly and chopped down with the blue flame. It looked like he was swinging a stick. The move was simple, but it made Agu's hair stand on end. Damn, who the hell is this? Agu cursed and held the axe handle tightly with his right hand, naturally refusing to let anyone take his weapon away. His left arm was wrapped in armed color domineering and defended in front of his body, trying to block the blue flame from cutting down. Armament color divine armor, wrap around Laozi. There was a fierce light in Yuan's eyes, and the strength in his hands suddenly increased a bit. Buzz. The blue light is shrouded in an unusual dark sheen. The power of the divine armor burst out silently. The blade swept past. Yuan only felt that he encountered obstacles at the beginning, but the next second he swung his sword down without any hindrance. Puff. A severed arm fell with blood splattering. Ah! Agu let out a painful wail from his throat, completely ignoring the broad axe that he was reluctant to give up just now, and let go and retreated madly. He staggered and sat down on the ground, looking extremely painful with beads of sweat rolling down his cheeks. Not only was his arm cut off, but there was also a bone-exposing wound on his chest with blood flowing, which was a shocking sight. Agu! Baron was stunned for a moment, then immediately yelled. It was destroyed after just one encounter? Who is that young man? At this moment, Baron finally realized that he had hit a wall. Without hesitation, he fired several shots and forced Yuan to retreat. Yuan didn't dodge or evade, didn't even blink, and let the sniper bullet fall on him. Ding 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 ding! A series of noises foreshadowed the failure of the sniper attack. The iron balloon can defend against sniper bullet attacks at the introductory stage. What's more, Yuan is also entangled in the armament color divine armor. The divine armor is already stronger than normal armament hockey. When wrapped in the divine armor, Yuan's attack and defense are greatly increased. What's more amazing is that even his inner physique is strengthened to a certain extent. This is the secret of divine armor. It is also Yuan's confidence. Damn! What a monster! Baron finally broke down and started cursing. Armor color coverage? My sniper bullets were also wrapped in armament hockey, so why couldn't they break his defense? Just now, Agu also used the armament hockey but still had his arm cut off. How strong is this boy's armament hockey? Baron glanced at the pale-faced Agu, turned around and rushed towards the crowd. Without Agu to defend himself head-on, it would be very dangerous if he were approached. In order to avoid Un, Baron would rather rush into the chaotic crowd, which shows how much pressure Un brought to him. As for Agu, what a crappy partner. Nowadays, anyone can die as long as he doesn't die. Baron, you! Agu's expression suddenly changed, and he was filled with hatred towards Baron. But before he could finish his words, he saw his body, and strangely enough, it was missing its head. Yuan cut off Agu's head and chased after Baron without stopping. Want to kill Laozi? Leave your life behind. The conflicted Yuan was completely awakened by the gunshot, and his ferocity was completely awakened. He rushed into the crowd like a tiger. What wonderful expectations! It's all bullshit. This is the pirate base. If you don't kill others, others will kill you. Only strength can protect yourself. Whoever stands in my way will die. The tiger's roar echoed throughout the battlefield. Then there was a burst of blue blade light that shocked the surrounding pirates. The scene where Yuan started chasing after Baron shocked everyone on the platform. Damn it! That loser Baron can't even deal with a brat. Silver Axe's exasperated voice came from under the armor. What's going on? John paused in his drinking, and had a bad feeling in his heart. This guy seems to be more powerful than Giacart. Puff! The Golden Lion spit out a mouthful of wine, not caring at all that it wet his cloak. He stared at Yuan, who was in the middle of the explosion with his eyes flickering. Well done, Yuan. It turns out that you and Lousy have a trick up your sleeve. He never expected Yuan to be so fierce. He killed a goo and chased after Baron, moving freely in the crowd. Is this really the Yuan he knew? But soon Shiki the Golden Lion realized something even more terrifying. Yuan had such strength, and he achieved it in just 7 days. 7 days. Most people can't even master domineering power. But Yuan has grown to the point where he can kill a multi-million bounty pirate in 1 second. Who can compare with him? Hey Lin, isn't he a little too strong? Kaido said in a muffled voice, confusion revealed on his face. Even he didn't realize that Yuan could be so fierce. He was completely different from yesterday. Is this guy hiding his strength? Charlotte Lin was also shocked. Yuan is a bit too perverted. Who of you recruited him? Achika looked around at everyone and asked curiously. He just thought that Yuan was a good candidate, and he didn't know how terrifying he really was. Ha ha! This is the genius that Lousy personally cultivated. Golden Lion Shiki finally waited for this moment, and smiled extremely arrogantly. That's it. Genius? John sneered subconsciously. Silver Axe echoed. Shiki, can this level be called a genius? What do you know? Shiki the Golden Lion waited for the opportunity to speak and said mysteriously. He is only 17 years old. Do you know how long it took him to reach his current level? 17 years old? You already mastered domineering power at the age of 17? John almost jumped up, obviously frightened by the answer. What a joke! Shiki, don't treat us as fools. The four-handed man couldn't help but interrupt. How is it possible for a 17-year-old to be so domineering? Looking at his young appearance, it's possible that he is not yet an adult. Stussy guessed with interest. It's remarkable that he can reach this level in 3 to 5 years. It won't be 2 or 3 years, right? Achika shortened the time when he saw the mysterious smile on the face of the Golden Lion Shiki. Don't keep us in suspense. Tell me now. The man who looked like a merman urged. His name is Bodhi, one of the cadres. The Golden Lion Shiki successfully drew all eyes to himself. Even Whitebeard, who hadn't said a word, couldn't help but look at Shiki, wanting to see what he was up to. Ha 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 ha, Lousy tells you, it only took him 7 days to reach this level of strength. 7 days ago, he was powerless. The Golden Lion laughed arrogantly, looking extremely proud. Oh, I'd be a fool to believe you, Lousy. The four-handed man named Chris couldn't help but sneer. What Golden Lion said was so absurd that even a 3-year-old child would not believe it. Ha ha ha, Shiki, are you out of your mind? Are you making this joke just to have fun? John said sarcastically. I thought he was a genius. As a result, Shiki's lies were really hilarious. 7 days? If he reaches this level of strength in 7 days, I will chop off Garp's head and bring it back tomorrow, ha ha. Silver Axe laughed even louder and mocked Shiki. Hey Shiki, what are you doing? Whitebeard was very unhappy. After much effort they got some interest, but it turned out that Shiki was just teasing everyone. Whitebeard simply didn't believe that someone could achieve such strength in 7 days. You are a bunch of frogs in a well. Do you know what true genius is? Golden Lion almost jumped on the table and pointed at everyone and cursed. Monster! Monster! He is the real monster! Even Whitebeard, you are weak compared to him. Shiki feels very good. Just shitting on top of everyone's heads. What did you say? Whitebeard grabbed Song Yinxia beside him. A strong sense of oppression erupted from his body, and he stared at Shiki with a pair of tiger eyes, looking unkind. This is the atmosphere of Rock's pirates. Fighting is commonplace at the slightest mistake. Whitebeard, do you think Lousy is really afraid of you? Shiki put his hands on the handle of the knife at his waist, showing no signs of weakness and preparing for a big fight. What's the fuss about? A deep voice sounded. Those 3 words made everyone calm down. Because it was Rox who spoke. Whitebeard silently let go of Tsung Yinxia. Golden Lion Shiki also became honest. The other cadres around looked disappointed, and they all wanted to see Whitebeard and Golden Lion fight. But when Rox opened his mouth, none of the cadres dared to continue making mistakes. Rox looked at Yun from afar, then turned his attention to Shiki. Shiki, what on earth is going on? The voice was slightly rough, but it revealed an indescribable arrogance and domineering power. Golden Lion Shiki was not as arrogant as before. Captain, what I said is true. Yun definitely mastered his current power in 7 days. Lin Lin and Kaido can both testify to this. Armed Haki and Wisdom Haki were taught by them. Seeing Rox speak, Shiki decisively pulled Lin Lin and Kaido into the water. 7 days? Rox frowned slightly, expressing extreme doubt. Turning his eyes towards Lin Lin and Kaido, the meaning of the question was self-evident. Charlotte Lin Lin was scolding Shiki in her heart. You bastard, can't you wait until I get Yun's hand before you expose Yun's talent? But Rox was looking at him for an answer, so he could only say truthfully. I don't know the specific time. Anyway, I met Yun 6 nights ago. At that time, he was still very weak. He should be the weakest among the people at the pirate banquet. Then it took him a few days to reach where he is now. The strength. By the way, he was very weak when he learned Haki, and Kaido and I just demonstrated it once, and he understood the armament color and the knowledge color. Charlotte Lin Lin simply showed her cards and confessed everything. The whole place was dead silent. It's like hearing a fantasy. Golden Lion Shiki's eyes widened, slightly confused. You said Yun instantly understood the color of weapons and the color of knowledge? Why didn't he tell Lousy? Compared with Shiki, other cadres are even more gaff-like. It's really 7 days. Don't join forces to play Lousy. Silver Axe was about to collapse. I just boasted that if Yun could master this kind of strength in 7 days, he would cut off Garp's head. Now Yun has taken the plunge. What should I do? Are you really going to kill Garp alone? That's just giving someone away. Not only did he comprehend the domineering aura instantly, but he also lacked the stamina to do so. How is this possible? Stussy covered his mouth with his hands, his eyes filled with suspicion. That's right. You guys are in collusion. John shouted in retort, refusing to accept this statement at all. Where's the evidence? If you have the guts, show it to me. Anyone can tell the truth. Chris slammed the table, obviously not believing it. Although these cadres were clamoring loudly, they were actually starting to have doubts in their hearts. Even the way he looked at Yuen changed. Whitebeard turned his head and stared at Yuen, lost in thought. He didn't think Shiki would pull such a joke with Charlotte Lin Lin. Could it be that he really has such strength in just 7 days? Whitebeard was in doubt. My own cognition does not allow me to accept this kind of thing. Believe it or not! Kaido shouted. Although he was not the squad leader, he was still an officer and was not afraid of John and the others at all. Rox remained silent, deep in thought. He didn't think Shiki and Lin Lin would dare to lie to him. This means it is most likely true. But mastering this kind of power in just 7 days, is it really possible? Even the pirate overlord Rox thought this was too outrageous. Captain, how could I lie to you? Woon has indeed grown to his current level in just 1 week. Golden Lion Shiki said hurriedly, fearing that Rox would not believe him. Lousy knows. Rox took a deep breath, as if he had made up his mind. Of course he knew Shiki wouldn't dare lie to him. So, Woon is truly a monster. Unprecedented. A genius monster that subverts cognition. 7 days! How is that possible? John was stunned when he heard Rock's affirmation. This wave was really taken advantage of by Shiki. Gulala, This is hard to understand. Whitebeard shook his head repeatedly. Things that are too outrageous can no longer be treated with conventional thinking. If you say it is true, then it is true. Huyanhua and Shaki looked at each other, and could see each other's shock. Chris from the Four-Handed tribe and Bodhi from the Fishman tribe both fell silent. Silveraxe, I hope to see Garps killed tomorrow. The Golden Lion Shiki directly attacked the opponent's face. Silveraxe was completely at his wits' end. Lousy is bragging too much. Who would have thought that someone could have such strength after only 7 days of practice? Other cadres have begun to speculate what talent Yuan has awakened, and are even considering how to win Yuan over. Achaku, John and the others will not sit idly by and watch Shiki the Golden Lion get Yuan. Stutz suddenly said, "Look, he got the devil fruit!" As soon as these words came out, all the cadres' eyes turned to Yuan. Even Rock's eyes were filled with deep consideration and exploration. At this moment, Yuan became the focus of the whole audience. But he himself was unaware of the changes on the platform, and his entire attention was focused on the battlefield. Yuan chased Baron through the crowd. The treasure chest that the pirates were fighting for was swept into the air by the impact, and the devil fruit happened to fall out of the treasure chest. It just hit Yuan. It's like a coincidence in fate. Yuan just stretched out his hand and got the devil fruit. This devil fruit is all black and slightly dull, with fluorescent green spiral patterns all over it, and green leaves wrapped around the outside like a shell. Yuan was stunned. He didn't recognize the devil fruit in his hand. "Do you want to eat?" He began to hesitate. But the pirates around him didn't give him time to hesitate. "He has the devil fruit! That belongs to Lousy! Go to hell!" Yuan, who possesses the devil fruit, immediately becomes the target of public criticism. Baron took the opportunity to hide in the crowd and secretly looked for an opportunity to shoot and kill Yuan. The strongest Yuckart had a fierce look on his face, his hair stained with blood, and strode towards Yuan. Although he is a devil fruit user. But he also needs to grab the devil fruit to prove his strength. Many pirates directly surrounded Yuan. Among them, there were several powerful auras staring at Yuan hungrily. If he was beaten up, I'm afraid that Yuan would not be able to bear it. Yuan had a headache, then he raised the devil fruit and shouted, "I got the devil fruit, is the pirate party not over yet?" The scene was quiet for 2 or 3 seconds. But he burst into laughter. "Ha ha! Did I hear it right? What did that kid say? You think the pirate party is over? Naive kid! Eat the devil fruit quickly, why are you hesitating? Yeah, maybe it will be the end after eating the devil fruit, ha 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 ha." The pirates of the Rocks pirates laughed. Suddenly, mocking voices were heard from all directions. "Laugh at Yun's naivety. Laugh at Yun's naivety." Little did they know. They are provoking a real tiger. The discordant sound made Yun's face darken, and he subconsciously looked up at the platform. "Those guys!" He saw that all the officers were looking at him, but no one announced the end of the pirate banquet. That means continuing. "Hey Yun! Give it a try! Kill them!" Kaido suddenly stood up and shouted, as if to cheer Yun up. He really acknowledged Yuan, and he was not just saying it casually when he said Yuan could drink with him. Even though Charlotte Linlin threatened Yuan to join her, Kaido did not do so. Perhaps he is looking forward to fighting Yuan in the future. Anyway, at this moment, he is the only one who stands up. Rox didn't say anything, and no one dared to stop the pirate party. But it didn't stop Kaido from cheering Yuan on. Yuan took a deep breath, with mixed emotions in his heart, and raised his arms to wave at Kaido in response. Then he looked around at the pirates who were eyeing him covetously, and a smile of ambiguous meaning appeared on the corner of his mouth. "If you don't want to die, get out of here. Lousy will not show mercy." But unfortunately his words had no effect. "Go! Grab the devil fruit! Everyone is watching. This is your chance to show off yourself. Kill him!" It was as if the fuse was ignited, and the surrounding pirates rushed forward, looking like they could overwhelm Yuan. Yuan's smile became more intense, but also colder. "You! Why are you so anxious to die?" Yun's words fell. An invisible aura quietly permeated his body. Pupils suddenly contracted. Conqueror's domineering release. Kamui, shock and kill. Boom! The shocking momentum like a torrent of waves swept past. Like a sickle cutting wheat, all the pirates around fell to the ground. Any pirate who falls to the ground is not just unconscious. Bleeding from every orifice. Some never wake up. Some people will become idiots even if they wake up. The spiritual will was completely crushed by Kamui. That's the power of Conqueror's Kamui. Deterrence? No. It's a shock kill. Yun no longer hides and fully demonstrates his strength. It's a real instant kill with one strike. The spirit flows between heaven and earth, and the situation changes constantly. The entire Beehive Island fell into silence again. The pirates who had just laughed at Yun were shocked as if they had seen the devil. On the high platform. Conquerors! Rock sat up straight, his eyes gleaming. Conquerors domineering! John exclaimed. What a joke, Lousy hasn't even awakened Conqueror's domineering, but this kid actually has Conqueror's domineering? The qualifications of a king who is 1 in a million! Shaki and Flame Flower both covered their mouths, extremely shocked. In the entire Rocks Pirates, only a few people can awaken Conqueror's Haki. Rocks, Whitebeard, Golden Lion, Charlotte Linlin, Kaido. Silver Axe, John Achaku, they have not awakened Conqueror's domineering. It is obvious that Yun's performance has brought shock to all the cadres. When did he awaken Conquerors? Shiki, the Golden Lion, was full of questions. He suddenly doubted whether the person he was in contact with was Yun. Why did he find it so incredible now? He turned to look at Charlotte Linlin and Kaido, and found that they were also shocked. It turns out you didn't know either. Golden Lion Shiki suddenly felt much better. It was just a casual remark at the time, but he has really awakened. Kaido opened his mouth, his voice filled with incredible shock. Yun is simply refreshing his own cognition over and over again. Whitebeard's eyes narrowed slightly, and he said solemnly, It's not just Conquerors, he can already control Conqueror's Haki. The impact range of his Conqueror's Haki is only in the square. Everything can be controlled? Silver Axe jumped in shock. Monster? It's simply not a human being. When Yun displayed Conqueror's domineering and precise control, all the cadres were dumbfounded. 17-year-old precise control Conqueror's shock. What a monster this is. Depend on. Achaku was jealous to death. Who doesn't want to awaken Conqueror's dominance? But that thing is completely innate, and cannot be changed at all. Otherwise, how could Whitebeard and Golden Lion be so arrogant? Rox is in a good mood. It won't be long before another strong man is born, who will be very helpful to his plan. Charlotte Linlin's desire to have a child with Yun became stronger again. Kaido seems to foresee that Yun will become an opponent worthy of his battle in the future. The appearance of Conquerors made all the cadres think more actively. However, a cadre who had been sitting at the end and holding a long knife had a strange light in his eyes, with a hint of fear. His name is Will. Is a fallen marine. Ahem, is this Conqueror's domineering aura? Diakate suffered from a concussion in his brain, and his voice was filled with a hint of pain. Impossible! How could you awaken Conqueror's Haki? Baron shouted with horror on his face. They were the only 2 pirates still standing. But at this time, they all had splitting headaches and were in unbearable pain. Only by truly enduring the impact of Yun's Conqueror's Kamui can one experience its terrifying power that shocks the mind and spirit. Yun was very exhausted at this time, but he still had the strength to fight. Without saying a word, he swung the knife back. Slash and pass by. Baron's head flew off, and rolled to the ground again, like a ball being kicked back and forth. His eyes were still wide open, and he couldn't accept that this was his ending. The last one. Yun pointed the knife at Jiakat, exuding an unparalleled aura of dominance. Don't think you can kill Lousy by awakening Conqueror's domineering. Jiakat gritted his teeth and roared in his throat. When the shock reaches a certain level, one's fear will turn into anger and explode. The wolf attacks! The sharp claws extended out, and the figure sprinted at high speed. He rushed towards Yuan regardless of everything. As long as we kill him, Laozi will be the only winner. Dyakart launched a crazy full-strength attack. Yuan's eyes flickered, and his whole body revealed a fierce and violent aura. Holding the devil fruit in his left hand and wielding the knife in his right hand, he rushed forward. He did not dodge or evade the incoming claws. Instead, the blue flame glowed faintly. Blue lion! A low roar sounded. Blue flame, the flame pattern on the blade is like a complete burn, condensing into the shape of a mighty lion in the light. That was not real fire, but the effect of sword energy flowing. Yuan has already figured out the form of the slash. Stop! John suddenly shouted. He sensed the power of Yuan's attack and tried to stop Yuan. Dyakart was a member he recruited, so he would still be useful if he was kept alive. How could he let Yuan kill him? But just when he wanted to stop it, 3 powerful auras burst out around him at the same time. Lion Thousand Slice Valley! Napoleon! Thunderous 8 trigrams! Golden Lion Shiki, Charlotte Linlin, and Kaido attacked at the same time. Boom! The air was filled with a roar as if it was overwhelmed. You! John's face turned pale, and he held 2 rapiers to resist, but he was still blown away by the 3 men and crashed down a stone wall. At the same time, Dyakart's sharp claws scratched Yun's skin, but were completely blocked by the steel balloon and divine armor. Yun heard John's voice but ignored it. You said stop, so you stop? What were you doing just now? Now Laozi disagrees. The lion roars. Slash and blast down. Even with the resistance of armament hockey, the devastating blows still penetrated Dyakat's body. Like a tornado destroying a parking lot. The violent sword energy completely took Dyakart's life. Yun's body was also thrown out by the impact of the opponent's attack and fell to the ground. But he got up immediately, obviously nothing serious. The self-phagocytic technique not only strengthens Yuan's physique, but also enhances his body's recovery ability. In terms of protracted battles, he will be much stronger than ordinary people. Dyakart went to see the King of Hell quickly. The other side. What do you mean? John rushed out from the ruins, furious. Shiki the Golden Lion said coldly. You are the first to try to break the rules, so I will naturally stop you. As he spoke, he looked as if he was going to kill John. He didn't expect that Charlotte Linlin and Kaido would also take action. Such is the situation. As long as Rox doesn't stop them, wouldn't it be easy for the 3 of them to kill John? Coincidentally, Charlotte Linlin and Kaido also had the same idea. You are really going too far. John was immediately furious, his lips trembling with anger. But unfortunately his strength is not as strong as his temper. Besides, Dyakart had already been beheaded, so it was even less likely that John would come forward. Okay, the pirate party is over. Rox spoke without leaving any trace, and it was impossible to tell the change in his emotions. With just one word. That's enough. The dispute between Golden Lion and his friends came to an end. It also brought the pirate banquet to an end. Rox still needs to accumulate strength. How can he allow others to kill each other? But this pirate banquet seemed particularly different. There can only be one winner. The figure seemed to have walked out of a sea of blood and corpses, with a frightening murderous aura lingering around it. Led by a pirate, they were walking towards the platform step by step. Even though he was the winner, Yuan couldn't smile. Every experience will refresh your perception of the pirate world and make you deviate from your initial assumptions. If you want to change all this, the only way is to improve your strength. Otherwise, everything is just empty talk. When your fate is in the hands of others, what is the point of dreaming about freedom? Strength. Yuan became more and more convinced of this idea. Rox stood up with a domineering figure, lowered his head slightly and looked at the winner, who was walking up step by step from below. Holding a devil fruit in one hand. The other holds a knife. Although he has a thin body, one can seem to feel a sense of arrogance and tyranny in his bones. The boldness is exactly what Laozi likes. Rox thought silently. For some reason, he actually saw some of his past self in the young man in front of him. Ha ha! Yuan! Good job! Shiki the Golden Lion couldn't help but laugh. I didn't have much hope for Yuan at first, but I didn't expect it to be such a shock to me. Laozi can finally be proud of himself. Shiki felt very happy. I'm really pleased with Yuan's performance. When did your conqueror's domineering aura awaken? Kaido asked with great interest. Being able to awaken conqueror's haki shows that Yuan's potential and qualifications are 1 in a million, and he is qualified to be his friend, or opponent. Mama, you're doing great. Charlotte Linlin laughed, and admired Yuan more and more. She had already started planning to have a baby. Both of them have special talents, and awaken conqueror's domineering at the same time. She couldn't even imagine how great her child would be. Yuan was silent for a moment. Just as he was about to speak, he was suddenly interrupted. Your name is Yuan, right? I am Silver Axe. Are you interested in joining my team? Silver Axe invited him eagerly, and assured him. As long as you join me, I will definitely teach you personally. Silver Axe? What do you mean? Shiki the Golden Lion was immediately furious. Muku and Ingshu were about to pull out. You are trying to snatch someone in front of me. I think you don't want to live anymore. Bah! You talk as if no one is afraid of you. Silver Axe expressed his dissatisfaction. At this time, not only Silver Axe, but also other captains began to recruit Yuan. My name is Chris. Join my team and I can teach you the secrets of the Four-Handed Clan. Chris from the Four-Handed Clan spoke first. Come on, how can I learn the things of your four-handed tribe with only 2 hands? Join my team, I will take you to the mermaid world under the sea. You haven't seen mermaids yet, right? Mermaids are very beautiful, Bodhi said meaningfully. It is natural to use special means to win over a young man who is full of vigor and vitality. The legendary mermaid can't take you down? A four-handed tribe and a fishman tribe, you dare to ask? Achuka seemed to be standing on the moral high ground at this time, and shouted. Follow Laozi. Laozi will teach you all his tricks, and you will be better than the four-handed tribe and the fishman tribe. Much stronger. What did you say? Believe it or not, I will let you see the power of the Four-Handed Clan right now. Old man! The fishmen are not to be trifled with. Yuan, Laozi is the famous Captain John. I have much more treasure than them. How about considering joining the Laozi team? Even John made an invitation. He was like a fish with amnesia, completely forgetting what had just happened. Diakate is dead, and John needs to recover urgently. John, do you have any shame? Silver Axe yelled in a mocking tone. It's fine if we just robbed him, but how dare you come out and join in the fun? John retorted cheekily. Why can't Laozi rob people? Maybe he just likes treasures. Several cadres were cursing at each other, and the atmosphere was very tense. Yuan stood aside, speechless. But I also learned the names of those unfamiliar faces from their quarrel. Bodhi from the Fishman tribe, Chris from the Forehand tribe, the man with 2 claws is called Ross, and the guy holding the big knife is called Will. Ordinary cadres such as Huyanhua and Stussy did not say anything. They also knew that they couldn't beat those guys. Shiki the Golden Lion gnashed his teeth and glared at everyone. You guys want to snatch someone away? Asking Ju and Muku if they agree. Kulala! Shiki, you don't have the final say at a time like this. You and Kid, join the Laozi squad. Even Whitebeard took the initiative to invite Yun. But this was an invitation that Yon absolutely refused. The way Whitebeard spoke made it hard for him not to think of that sentence. Be my son. Bah. 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 Laozi is not here to recognize his father. Yun had 1.8 million rejections in his mind. Hey! You guys are going too far. Charlotte Linlin stood up, unable to bear it any longer. The huge body is full of oppression. Yun has been mine since the beginning. His hockey was taught by Kaido and me. Charlotte Linlin came off the field to grab the ball. Shiki the Golden Lion was immediately displeased. What do you mean, your people? Yuan was discovered by Laozi. You taught him the power of dominance because he exchanged it for grilled fish. Bullshit. You and Yuan are the ones making the deal. Charlotte Linlin refused to give in. Golden Lion Shiki was stunned. Is Laozi and Yuan a deal? What are two grown men trading? PY transaction. Laozi, it seems that you are the one who really wants to have a baby with Yuan. Oh no! It's exposed! Just as Yuan was about to speak, he suddenly saw Golden Lion Shiki and Charlotte Linlin quarreling. He immediately looked up at the sky, as if it was none of his business. In fact, I was already panicking. The confessions of both parties collapsed at this moment. Have the best of both worlds. Now the two ships collided. Go ahead. Which ship to board? Tell me yourself. What did you promise Laozi? Golden Lion Shiki asked. For an answer. Mama you promised to be my chef if you could attend the pirate banquet. Are you lying to me? Charlotte Linlin also looked at She had already realized that she had definitely been deceived by Yuan before. This guy and Golden Lion were clearly unclear about the matter, but he insisted on saying there was some kind of deal. Facing the pressure from the two, Yuan's smile became more bitter. How can Laozi say this? Yuan's mentality collapsed. He stammered and was unable to speak. There is not even a trace of the devilish demeanor he had just now. Is this how you bully newcomers? I don't care what happened to you before. As long as Yuan joins my team, I will definitely not let him be bullied. Achuku saw the opportunity and immediately started to intercept. Just you! Laozi will chop you first! The Golden Lion Shiki drew out his two swords, full of murderous intent. I was extremely annoyed at Yuan's two-timing behavior, and had no place to vent my anger. Kulala la la! Yuan, Laozi can definitely protect you. Whitebeard suddenly spoke, and almost patted his chest to make a promise. Yuan's expression changed slightly. Although I don't like Whitebeard's act of recognizing his son, this guy is absolutely impeccable in terms of strength and loyalty. Whitebeard! Don't go too far! Charlotte Linlin instantly burst out with momentum and confronted Whitebeard head-on. Linlin, you are just a young girl in front of Laozi! Whitebeard burst out with aura. There is a faint sense of Conqueror's domineering collision lingering around. Mama! Then you come and try it! Charlotte Linlin's laughter gradually became crazy, and Napoleon appeared in her hand. Gulala! You and Kaido come together! Whitebeard laughed loudly towards the sky, his whole body filled with unruly and domineering aura. Whitebeard! Laozi can handle you by himself! Kaido stood up with a bang, with lightning swirling around him. A war is about to break out. Yuan blinked and took 2 steps back quietly. No one told me that the more exciting part is after the pirate banquet. Honeycomb Island is in turmoil again. Several powerful auras confronted each other. This is all because of Yuan. He instantly comprehended Haki, and after 7 days of training, he instantly killed a pirate with a bounty of 30 million, and at the same time, he also awakened Conqueror's Haki. Who doesn't want to fight? It's not John's fault for being shameless. It's just that Yuan is too perverted. Ha ha! Then let's all have a fight. Whoever wins will follow Yuan. The Golden Lion Shiki is bursting with aura, with his golden mane fluttering in the wind, looking more like a majestic lion, very domineering. Come on! Whoever is a coward is a son of a bitch! Achuki yelled. I've been displeased with you for a long time. John is ready to take action at any time. Chris, Will, Ross, and Bodhi were all ready for battle. In an instant, the scene was about to turn into a big fight. The pirates below were completely dumbfounded. The captains who were high and mighty in the past, the famous pirates, actually fought for a new pirate? What on earth is wrong with this world? Yuan himself was also numb. So exciting. It would be a hell of a fight if this started. The Rock's pirates will not disband early because of me, right? Just when Yuan was feeling nervous, an arrogant and domineering voice suddenly sounded. Do you think Laozi doesn't exist? Rox finally spoke. If he doesn't stand up, the war will break out completely. As expected. As soon as Rox opened his mouth, the tense atmosphere immediately dissipated. Captain, Yun has already agreed to join my team, Golden Lion Shiki said quickly. You two are just making a deal. Yun wants to be my chef. If you don't believe me, ask him. Charlotte Linlin spoke up shortly after. After all, the choice is up to Yun. So what if he joins my team? Achaku took the opportunity to speak. It looked like it was about to turn into another war of words. Shut up, lousy! Rox suddenly shouted. A violent aura suddenly unfolded. A cold, powerful aura enveloped everyone. Golden Lion Shiki and Charlotte Linlin just shut up. Everyone could sense the anger in Rox's words. No one dares to bring bad luck. Yuan's heart trembled. This is Rox, Pirate Overlord. Gives people an unparalleled kingly aura. That is a unique dominant posture. A courage no one has ever had. How could such a powerful guy fall into the Valley of Gods? Doubts arose in Yun's mind. Yun, how long have you been practicing? Rox's deep voice rang out, shocking everyone. Yun did not hesitate and said straightforwardly. About 7 days. From the fight between these guys, Yun guessed that Golden Lion had revealed his talent. Then there is nothing to hide. Is the matter about armament hockey and observation hockey also true? Rox asked again. In fact, he has the answer in his heart. I just wanted to see what Yun's attitude was. Yeah, I don't know how it happened. I just saw them demonstrate it, and it just came naturally to me. Yun looked like he didn't even know how he figured it out. This also avoids being asked about the details of what happened. How did your conqueror's hockey awaken? How did you learn to control it? There was a gleam in Rox's eyes. This is what he cares most about. Conqueror's domineering? They refused to teach me, and I awakened by thinking about it after I went back. Yun spread his hands and said as if it was a matter of course. After awakening, it is natural to control it. Can't you control your conqueror's domineering aura? It's obvious that he doesn't understand anything. But it was as if it had thrown out countless knives and stabbed everyone's heart. Rox's face froze. We are in control. But you can't control it as soon as you wake up. It was obvious that this answer shocked him. Even the pirate overlord found it incredible. John, Achaku, Silver Axe and the others all collapsed. What does it mean to wake up while thinking? That's conqueror's domineering, not cabbage. What do you mean your conqueror's domineering can't be controlled? Laozi didn't even awaken conqueror's domineering power. Control Qin Mao. The conqueror's domineering officers and squad leaders who haven't awakened yet are bleeding in their hearts. It hurts. It hurts so much. Invisible attacks are the most deadly. Whitebird's eyes widened in disbelief. Born to control conqueror's domineering? What on earth is this kid? Shiki the Golden Lion wanted to jump up and down and curse. Yun! You are so perverted that even Laozi is jealous. Charlotte Linlin's eyes lit up even more. Conquerors? Very good. I must have a baby with you. Have more children. Yun had no idea that his task of protecting his kidneys had suddenly become difficult. Kaido opened his mouth. Suddenly I wanted to dissect Yun to see what he was made of. Yun, you are such an amazing monster! Rox was trying to sort out his feelings, and for a moment he didn't know how to describe Yun. This is the real monster. The guy who was previously called a monster is nothing in front of Yun. Captain, who is Yun with? Silver Axe asked unwillingly. Rox suddenly burst into laughter. Listen carefully, Laozi. From now on, Yun is the new leader of the Rox Pirates. All the cadres were stunned. No one expected Rox to arrange it this way. Although Yun has terrifying talent, his strength does not meet the standards to become a cadre. However, this further reflects Rox's importance and expectations for Yun. The new leader of the Rox Pirates. The pirates below are even more lively. Cadre? A newcomer actually became a cadre directly. How terrifying is Yun? No rookie has ever been able to become a cadre directly. Even Kaido started out as a rookie. What the hell? He's a big shot we can't afford to offend from now on. Whether out of awe for rocks or awe for the title of cadre, the pirate's attitude towards Yuen began to change. At the same time, I became more curious about Yuen. I became a cadre directly? Yuen was obviously stunned and very surprised. This is too sudden. Laozi is still considering which boat to board. That's good now. I shouldn't have to offend anyone. What? You don't want to? Rox said with a smile. His eyes were extremely deep, as if there was darkness flowing in his eyes. Yuen quickly said, "Thank you, Captain, for your training." "Never mind, let's just get through this difficult time first." Yuen didn't have time to care what Rox was planning, he just had to agree to whatever it was. "Captain, even if Yuen is an officer, he should belong to a squad, right?" John stepped forward and said. Rox glanced over his shoulder at him. Just one look made John feel a chill down his spine and his heart skip a beat. "Yuen follows Laozi's orders directly. None of you are qualified to command him." Rox's powerful words once again established Yuen's position. He says he is a cadre. In fact, he can already be on par with other squad leaders. Yuen's career has been meteoric. I didn't expect things to turn out like this. But that's okay. Don't hesitate between Golden Lion Shiki and Charlotte Linlin. On the contrary, Yuen was happy to accept it. Golden Lion Shiki and Charlotte Linlin looked unhappy, but they couldn't refute Rox's decision. Yuen, who could only talk, flew away. At this time, Rox suddenly noticed the devil fruit in Yuen's hand and reminded him. "This devil fruit is the Paramecia shadow fruit. After eating it, you will gain the power to control shadows. It is yours now. It is up to you to eat it or not. During this time, just focus on improving your strength. Someone will notify you when there's a suitable mission. If you have any problems with your cultivation, you can come to Laozi. Rox is planning to teach Yuen personally." "Understood, Captain?" Yuen nodded in response, not showing any signs of being overly impetuous because of his enormous wealth. So far, the pirate banquet came to an end. The winner, or the only survivor, Kasa Yuen. He is also a new member of the Rocks Pirates. From obscurity to the center of attention, all the pirates on Beehive Island knew that a real monster had appeared. No one can predict how far it will go in the future. After waiting for Rox to arrange everything for him, Yuen asked to leave to recuperate. If he stayed any longer, Golden Lion Shiki and Charlotte Linlin would kill him with their eyes. "Huh! The bed is so comfortable." Yuen lay on the soft bed, and his tense body gradually relaxed. This was the first time he lay in bed since his time travel. The campsites are all hardwood planks. Or just sleep on the beach. Promoted to cadre, gaining rights and enjoying own residence. I originally wanted to fish in troubled waters, but in the end I got into trouble. But the result is not bad. At least no one dares to touch me for the time being. I can also use my cadre status to obtain more resources and improve my strength. After actually coming into contact with those monsters, Yuen became more aware of his own shortcomings. Everyone gives him a strong sense of oppression. Especially Rox. Standing in front of him, I didn't even have the courage to take action. The feeling that a single look could kill him put Yuen under tremendous pressure. But how can I face Golden Lion and Charlotte Linlin in the future? Just as Yuen was reflecting on himself, some pirates had already delivered a large cart of food as per his instructions. These are the essence parts. Not only are the meat delicious, but they also contain higher energy. Yuen ate with relish. The world is big and filling the stomach is the biggest. Let's eat first. The cell phagocytosis technique operates spontaneously, and streams of warm current flow into the whole body, nourishing the body. While eating, Yuen suddenly stopped. I seem to have forgotten something. Yuen touched his waist and took out his trophy, the shadow fruit, from the cloth bag. I almost forgot about the devil fruit. Looking at the shadow fruit in front of him, Yuen fell into deep thought. The later owner of the Shadow fruit was Gecko Mariah, one of the Shichibukai. Judging from Gecko Mariah's performance, the Shadow fruit is very ordinary. Of course, some of the reasons are due to the host. But Yun obviously didn't like ordinary paramecia. Do you want to eat? Yun was very hesitant, with a conflicted look on his face. He set a requirement for himself that even if he ate a devil fruit, it had to be of the mythical beast grade. Paramecia is just a mere pill. It's better not to take it. Eh? Wait. See if the divine sense can find anything. He suddenly remembered his reaction when he sensed the power of the soul fruit, and his eyes suddenly lit up. The seeing and hearing colors and the spiritual consciousness are explored. The invisible force seeps into the shadow fruit. You used your divine sense to investigate the shadow fruit, and detected a hint of the shadow fruit's power. It really works! Yuan was delighted, and all his attention was focused on the shadow fruit. You seem to have touched upon the core mystery of the shadow fruit. With continued understanding, Yuan gradually mastered the power of the shadow fruit. You have successfully evolved the secret ability of the shadow fruit. Even without taking the shadow fruit, you can still master the ability of the shadow fruit. You have successfully acquired the ability of the shadow fruit. Depend on! It actually worked! Yuan was completely excited, and the corners of his mouth were harder to suppress than AK. Under the observation of his divine consciousness, and after some intuition and heaven-defying, he actually succeeded in comprehending the power of the shadow fruit. The most perverted thing is, you can use your abilities without taking a devil fruit. Unprecedented on the sea. Yuan is the first of its kind. But he soon calmed down. No, this matter must not be known to others. Find an opportunity to hide the shadow fruit and make sure that no one will find it. Only then can I use the ability of the shadow fruit. Yun didn't let it get to his head. If the shadow fruit is intact, but one has the ability of the shadow fruit, anyone would notice that something is wrong. Even if the shadow fruit is destroyed directly, it will be reborn in the sea, and there is still a risk of being discovered. So it's safest to hide it. The shadow fruit ability. If I really don't need to eat a devil fruit to gain abilities, is it possible for me to master the abilities of other devil fruits? Yuan suddenly felt like he had discovered a new world. But whether it can be achieved can only be verified through actual practice. At least there is no way at the moment. However, this also brings Yuan new ideas for becoming stronger. Then let's develop the ability of the shadow fruit next. Yun quickly consumed a large amount of food that far exceeded the amount that humans could consume, and then began to study the abilities of the shadow fruit. With his current strength, if he uses the power of the devil fruit, his combat effectiveness can be greatly improved. Improving his strength is what he cares about most. To control other people's shadows, you need to cut them off before you can use them for yourself. No wonder Mariah is holding a pair of large scissors. This is really a disadvantage. Without enough shadows, the shadow fruit's ability will be wasted by more than half. Able to summon one's own shadow, creating a form that is immune to harm. Creating zombies is not very useful. Well, Moria eats shadows to gain strength. I won't do such a disgusting thing, and my stomach can hold a few shadows. So is it possible to fuse shadows into armor or something like that? How can I enhance my power through the form of a? Yun's wild imagination gradually developed the ability of the shadow fruit. The shadow fruit is also a very special ability. The operability and development are very extensive. It mainly depends on how much ability the user can exert. Perhaps it was the armament-colored divine armor that inspired Yuan, and he was determined to create a shadow armor move. Mariah is able to temporarily increase his strength with the help of his shadow. This is the fundamental thing that Yuan is pursuing. There is no need for anything fancy, the most important thing is to increase your own strength. But as he gradually developed, he seemed to touch upon a more mysterious power by chance. You have completely mastered the power of the shadow fruit and touched the deeper demonic factor beneath the essence. You have developed the ultimate hidden form of the Shadow Fruit. Shadow Fruit Mythical Beast Dark Descendant King Form. Mythical Beast. Yoon froze in place. Shadow Fruit Mythical Beast Dark King Form. When Yoon saw the result, he was completely stunned. Although I want the mythical beast species. But no one told me that the Shadow Fruit can also transform into a mythical beast. Normal paramecia becomes a mythical beast. Anyone will be shocked. It is not called the rubber fruit unless Nika hides his true ability. Otherwise, how can paramecia become a mythical beast? What is going on? Yuan himself was very surprised, but he couldn't figure it out. The Shadow Fruit is normally just a normal paramecia, but now it has awakened to the mythical beast King Darkborn King form. Could it be related to the Heaven Defying? So, in the final analysis, the Shadow Fruit is still the Shadow Fruit. The reason for the change is that I comprehended the power of the Shadow Fruit, strengthened the power of the fruit through understanding, and developed a new form by combining myself with the power of the fruit. It can also be understood as an evolved version of the Shadow Fruit's ability. Yun seems to have figured out why the fruit evolved. The fruit is ordinary fruit. The perverted one is Heaven Defying. It's really a big surprise for me. I thought that the limit was to comprehend the fruit power out of thin air, but I didn't expect that the real limit was to strengthen the fruit power. Yuan shook his head repeatedly, looking very emotional. My mood gradually became relaxed and I became more and more confident. Because he has mastered the abilities of the mythical beasts. Let's see what abilities are available after evolving into a mythical beast species. Yuan murmured to himself. Immerse your mind and feel the changes in the power of the fruit. Countless insights surged in his mind, and he gained a deeper understanding of the abilities of the mythical beast species, the Darkborn King. It was dawn. Yuan opened his eyes in meditation, with an expression of uncontrollable joy on his face. After a night of research, he had already mastered most of the abilities of the mythical beast species, the Darkborn King form. Shadowland, based on your own shadow, build a space that can store shadows. The size of the space increases as your strength increases. Shadow contract technique, make a contract with someone else's shadow and turn it into your own puppet. The shadow will not disappear even if the original host dies. Shadow summoning, summon the shadows of the shadow realm to serve you. Shadow hunter, release your own shadow to capture other people's shadows and use them for your own benefit. Shadow incarnation, summon your own shadow to fight for you, possessing all your own strength and ignoring pure physical attacks. Shadow form, fuse with your own shadow and burst out with extremely strong power far exceeding your own in a short period of time. The King's coming, the fruit awakening form. Become a Dark King, and all your abilities will be multiplied. Dark Domain, awakening form ability, condense the Shadow Domain, double your own strength in the Shadow Domain, and increase the strength of all shadows by 50%. 10,000 Shadows Battle Armor, the controlled shadows are merged into a shadow armor to enhance one's own strength. The more shadows there are, the greater the increase. The above are just some basic important abilities. This is far from the upper limit of the mythical beast species, the Dark and King. Shadowland is a complete core of ability. It can store shadows and is extremely convenient to carry and summon. Shadow Contract can permanently control the shadow. Is it so perverted? Yoon smacked his lips secretly. As long as there is a contract, even if the person is dead, the shadow can still be used by me. It is really overbearing and unreasonable. Shadow Hunter can be understood as a means of obtaining shadows, which is much better than the stupid way of collecting shadows with scissors. Shadow Incarnation is similar to Shadow Mage and Shadow Warrior. However, this magic shadow form can merge with one's own shadow to burst out with super strong power, which is a good move. Once it bursts out suddenly, it can catch the enemy off guard. King's Arrival. The mythical beast awakens. All abilities are multiplied. This is the power I really want. Unfortunately, my body is too weak now, and I can't bear the power of the awakened form. And the awakened form also has an extra. This kind of domain ability has a strengthening effect on itself, and the shadow it controls. It is worthy of being a mythical beast. Just looking at these abilities is already very abnormal. Just based on these means, its ability far exceeds that of other mythical beasts. Moreover, the actual combat ability after mastering the shadow is more unpredictable and the degree of development is extremely high. I have also created the 10,000 Shadows battle armor, which can enhance the amplification effect without swallowing shadows like Moria. However, how many shadows I can fuse depends mainly on my strength. 10,000 Shadows battle armor is a move that Yuan learned by himself based on the ability of the fruit. The fundamental point is to strengthen the physical body to exert greater strength. This time the harvest is huge. Yuan stood up and stretched, and his body made a crackling sound. After just one night, his strength increased by leaps and bounds again. If he uses the power of the fruit, Yuan is confident that he can kill Daikart in one move without using Conqueror's Shock. The 10,000 Shadow battle armor and Demon Shadow form both have extremely powerful self-enhancements. This is also the source of Yuan's confidence. In that case, there is no need for you to appear in the sea. Yuan glanced at the shadow fruit beside him, seeming to have some murderous intent. Next second, Yuan's shadow unexpectedly broke away automatically, changing from a flat form to a three-dimensional form. It looked like a dark mass, but from the outline one could still make out Yuan's appearance. Go, take it to the ground and bury it. Shadow Yuan grabbed the shadow fruit and slowly sank into the ground, just like sinking into water. This is one of the characteristics of the shadow. Not long after, Shadow Yuan reappears and returns to his original form. But the shadow fruit has disappeared. No one knows where the shadow fruit has gone. After doing all this, Yuan breathed a sigh of relief. Now I can use the name of the shadow fruit to mobilize the abilities of the mythical beasts. Everything was perfect. It's time to eat in the morning. I'm a cadre now, so no one dares to control how much I eat. Yuan thought to himself and pushed the door open and walked out. As soon as I looked up after going out, I saw a domineering figure walking towards me. Captain Rox? Yuan was stunned. He didn't expect Rox to appear here, and he felt very nervous. Didn't he notice what I did just now? I'm in good spirits. How do you feel now? Rox said naturally. Although he did not act like a captain, the inherent sense of oppression still made Yuan feel a little uncomfortable. No one would feel at ease around a ferocious beast without the ability to protect themselves. He probably didn't realize that I had hidden the shadow fruit, right? Yuan was alert, but he could only answer honestly. Nothing serious happened. I just consumed too much energy yesterday, and I have recovered now. Yeah. Rox nodded, but suddenly changed the subject. Release your conqueror's dominance. Ah? Yuan was visibly stunned. I don't understand what Rox means. Your conqueror's haki is a little strange. All the pirates who were hit by your conqueror's haki yesterday couldn't wake up. Rox said in a puzzled tone. He wasn't concerned about those useless pirates. But I am curious about Yuan's conqueror's dominance. Huh? How could that be? Captain, I don't know either. I was just releasing it normally. Yuan hurriedly explained, but it was mostly performance. I don't know yet, he knows better than anyone else. Even knows when Rox died. Why are you so nervous? Laozi is not blaming you. He is just checking your conqueror's domineering power. Oh. Yuan nodded and obediently released conqueror's domineering aura. Buzz. Cut through with the courage like the tide. It's as if the picture is still. Huh. Your conqueror's domineering strength is so high. Rox frowned, shocked. I didn't feel it carefully yesterday and failed to discover the horror of Yuan conquerors. Now I feel it, but I find that his conqueror's domineering strength is extremely high. No wonder that consequence occurred. So it's the strength of conqueror's domineering, huh? The current strength is this high, so how high will it grow in the future? From now on, it seems possible to surpass Laozi, let alone Mugate and Shiki. A horrible thought suddenly occurred to Rox. Even I was shocked. Other talents are easy to explain, but Conquerors is born so strong. What kind of monster is this? Rox naturally regarded Kamui as the strength of Conqueror's Haki, or he would never have thought that Conqueror's Haki could also form an evolved form. Is there any problem, Captain? Yuen asked from the side. There's a fucking problem. Rox suddenly became a little irritable at this moment. It's alright. Even the mighty pirate overlord Rox was defeated by Yuen. Physical fitness is the foundation of everything. Conqueror's domineering aura determines the upper limit. Your upper limit is immeasurable. Work hard. As for the devil fruit, did you eat the shadow fruit? As Rox was speaking, he suddenly sensed something wrong with Yun's aura. Can't you see that? It shouldn't be a scam, right? Yuen became inexplicably nervous. Yeah, I couldn't help it for a moment. It's not a big deal. The devil fruit is just the icing on the cake. Don't rely too much on the power of the devil fruit. You have a strong talent, but you just awakened late. Otherwise, you would have reached the level of Linlin and Kaido by now, but you are still very young. Don't worry. Rox said slowly, his deep eyes fixed on Yuen. He took Yuen Conqueror's strength more seriously after knowing it. He even regarded Yuen as his biggest helper in dominating the world. Otherwise, given Rox's personality, how could he possibly talk so much to a young boy? I see, Captain. Yuen was very emotional. How strong is Rox? Apart from my heaven-defying understanding, I seem to have no secrets in front of him. Rox's eyes showed no emotion, and he said in a deep voice, Attack Lousy with all your strength. He wanted to give Yuen some personal guidance. By the way, let's test Yun's true strength. Let me take action on him. Yuen is not stupid, he immediately understood what Rox meant. Instead of being afraid, his eyes lit up and were filled with excitement. This is Rox. In case of a burst of gold coins. Rox raised his eyebrows slightly. Why did this guy get so excited when he heard that he could attack Lousy? It's true that a newborn calf is not afraid of a tiger. The young man's sharpness was clearly revealed at this moment. Okay. After Yuen reacted, he rushed forward without hesitation, without using the blue flame at his waist, and punched out directly. The distance of 3 to 5 meters was in front of Rox in the blink of an eye. Brush. But the next second, before Yuen could react to what was happening, he was grabbed by the collar and thrown out. Yuen, who was thrown away, got up from the ground, looking confused. Not only could he not see Rox's movements with his eyes, even his observation haki and divine sense could not detect any trace of Rox. This speed is terrifying. That's it. Rox chuckled. Maybe it was because of the action. The kingly aura that looked down on everything slowly emerged from him, and his aura was filled with an invisible sense of oppression that made people's hearts flutter. Captain, you are too fast. I can't hit you like this. Yuen couldn't help but complain. How can you fight if you can't even see how the opponent attacks? Ha 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 ha. Rox laughed as if he heard a joke. This kid really wants to fight. What on earth is going on in his head? You may not be strong enough, but your courage is commendable. Just stand there and do nothing. I haven't come across such an interesting thing in a long time. Rox was more interested in Yuen and wanted to see what this little guy could do. We agreed not to move. Yuen was eager to try. Rox smiled without saying a word, standing like a towering mountain. Demon Shadow. Yuen directly unleashed the strongest power he could at the moment. Anyway, Rox knows that he ate the shadow fruit, so there is nothing to hide. Shadow form is activated. Rox's eyes changed slightly. He watched as Yuen's shadow broke away, formed a three-dimensional shape, and then strangely merged with Yuen's body. At the same time, Yuen's strength suddenly increased rapidly, and his aura was much stronger than before. You gained this ability right after eating the devil fruit? Rox was shocked. Deeply shocked by Yuen's abnormal talent. In a breath. In the shadow form, Yuen sprinted again over a distance of more than 10 meters and came in front of Rox. His arms were wrapped in the armament-colored divine armor, and with the blessing of the shadow, the power he unleashed made a hissing sound when rubbing against the air. This kid's armament hockey is also very powerful. Rox was surprised. Where on earth did such a monster come from? Although he was surprised, he still took action. A simple and unpretentious punch was thrown out. It seemed as if he deliberately slowed down so that Yuan could see his punch clearly. The seemingly slow and powerless punch shocked Yuan instantly. If this fist lands on me, it will definitely kill me. Countless thoughts flashed through Yuan's mind. This punch was something he couldn't handle at all. But he didn't back down. The fist that was originally heading for Rox's chest suddenly changed direction and hit his arm. At the same time, he tried to grab Rox's wrist with his left hand, using the principle of using a little force to move a large object to dodge the punch. Rox's eyes showed appreciation. "You won't back down?" But the next moment, the expression in his eyes changed slightly. His arm was actually shaken a little. Although it's just a tiny bit. Not even Yoon himself knew. But Rox is such a man that his heart is in turmoil at this moment. How could Yoon do this? For a while, feelings of surprise and emotion flooded my heart. But that's all. Rox's fist suddenly burst out with powerful force, like thunder, and a violent impact force unfolds. Bang! Yoon was blown away without any warning. At the same time, a message flashed through my mind. You feel the power of Conqueror's entanglement, and gain an understanding. You successfully master Conqueror's Kamui entanglement. Gold coins burst. Successfully comprehended Kamui entanglement. Yuan got up from the ground. Not only was he not depressed, but he seemed a little happy. Rox didn't take it seriously, and he was fine after taking a punch. You feel it, right? Even if you want to change the direction of Laozi's fist, you are too weak. Techniques are useless in the face of absolute strength. But you didn't choose to retreat, which was beyond Laozi's expectation. Rox has an arrogant smile and an extremely domineering posture. It gives people an unshakable feeling and the eyes are full of appreciation. But for Rox, appreciation only means being useful. He wants to accomplish his goal. Captain, I just learned a trick. Yuan grinned, his eyes became brighter and brighter, and his pupils suddenly contracted. Invisible spirit flows. Conqueror's Kamui released. But this time it did not rage like a tide, but instead wrapped around the clenched fist arm in a strange way. Sizzle! A dark arc of electricity appeared out of nowhere, lingering around Yuan. Although his Conqueror's Kamui had only been awakened for a few days, it had been growing with his physical strength. Moreover, Yuan also mastered the practice method of Conqueror's Kamui, which resulted in Conquerors being barely able to perform entanglement. This is Ba-chan. Rox's pupils dilated slightly, and his expression was dazed for a moment. Tyranny! How is this possible? Laozi just showed a little bit of dominance. That's how you realized it. Laozi clearly didn't say anything, and it was impossible for him to prepare in advance, so he really understood it instantly. What kind of talent is this? The corners of Rox's mouth twitched slightly. He did want to test Yoon. The final result was a huge blow to me. How did you learn Conqueror's entanglement? Rox looked emotional and his voice was solemn. He couldn't afford to ignore this. Only by seeing the evilness of Yuan with your own eyes can you experience the shock you have never experienced before. Yuan's face was full of excitement but also a little confused. I don't know either. I just saw the way you performed it, and I understood it. Oh shit! Monster! Rox felt a little defensive. Even he was a little jealous of Yuan's talent. This is simply a natural-born king. Compared with him, Laozi seems mediocre in talent. However, Rox was a bit surprised and then burst into laughter. Ha 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 ha, good, let Laozi see how much you have understood. The words fell. Lightning roared beside him, and its power seemed even more magnificent than that of Yuan. A dark and powerful aura emerged, dark clouds rolled in the sky, and a dark scene instantly enveloped Honeycomb Island. Yuan's eyes widened, and he was shocked. Such a terrifying aura, just releasing it can affect the surrounding weather changes. He was not afraid and became more and more excited. No one in the entire ocean is qualified to have rocks as a sparring partner. The strange phenomena in heaven and earth attracted the attention of everyone on Beehive Island. That is, the vision caused by Bakon. Golden Lion Shiki looked up at the sky. It's Captain Rock's ascent. Someone is fighting with the captain. Kaido frowned and rushed over there. Gulala. Who dares to run to Beehive Island and cause trouble? Could it be that guy Garp? Whitebeard laughed and rushed out. Maybe it's another marine. Let's go. Let's see who it is. John, Achaku, Silveraxe, Chris and others all rushed out. But when these squad leaders and cadres arrived at the scene, they were all stunned by the scene before them. The person who fought Rocks was neither Garp nor Marine. It was Yun, who was promoted to a cadre yesterday. Yun. Kaido's jaw almost dropped to the ground. The person who fought Captain Rocks was actually Yun. Yun, is he looking for death? What a joke. Yun has taken control of the situation? The Golden Lion was bewildered, and the cigar in his mouth fell to the ground with a click. He was so immersed in the shock of the scene before him that he was unaware. How is this possible? Conqueror's entanglement requires the conqueror to reach a certain level of advanced application. It took Laozi a year to gradually master it. Whitebeard was slightly distracted, his face full of disbelief. Mama! It's unbelievable that Yun has mastered the art of domination so quickly. Charlotte Linlin's eyes sparkled as if she was looking at a delicious dessert. Conqueror's twine. John was going crazy with jealousy. Laozi doesn't even have conquerors. How did that bastard get to master the tyrant? Oh shit. Silveraxe, Achaku and others were also numb. They all seemed to see themselves being surpassed by Yun. Is this a sparring match with the captain? Stussy's eyes froze slightly, as if he couldn't believe that Yun actually had the courage to attack Rocks, and he couldn't believe that the pirate overlord Rocks would actually practice with a newcomer. Rocks ignored the figures around him and kept his eyes on Yun from beginning to end. Do you feel the difference? Are you still ready to give it a try? Laozi won't hold back. The horrible conqueror's fear enveloped Yun. The devil's whispering voice echoed in his ears, causing Yun's face to change slightly. There was no sign from the bone-chilling murderous intent that Rocks was joking. A flash of hesitation flashed across Yun's face, and then he immediately became determined. If you don't even have the courage to take action at this moment, then this scene will become my inner demon. Rocks will become an eternal nightmare. How can you reach a higher mountain without climbing over this mountain? The next moment, Yun makes a decision that drives everyone crazy. Then I won't hold back either. The roar was very loud. Yun's momentum was already at its limit, and he roared just to boost his own momentum. F***CK. Are you crazy? Kaido couldn't help but curse. You still don't hold back. He simply doesn't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. What a strong spirit. Whitebeard's expression gradually became serious, and he saw the kingly demeanor of Yun. What a fucking lunatic. Silveraxe cursed in a low voice with a dull look in his eyes. He seemed to see a lunatic who was even crazier than Rocks. Damn it. If you guys hadn't caused trouble, this kid would have been Laozi's man. Golden Lion Shiki was regretting it so much. When Yun grows up and joins hands with me, there is no need to worry about not being able to dominate. Mama. Please don't die. Charlotte Linlin laughed. Will, holding a big knife, looked extremely solemn, with a hidden murderous intent in his eyes that no one noticed. No one knew where his murderous intent came from. Ha 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 ha. Rox's unruly laughter echoed throughout the island, and his figure was arrogant and domineering. Drink. Yun no longer hesitated, he rushed forward and delivered the strongest punch he could in his current state. Dark arcs of electricity buzzed faintly around him. It was still very difficult for him to display the domination technique at this moment. If he delayed any further, he would not be able to maintain the domination technique. So do it. There was a light in Rock's eyes, but it seemed as if endless darkness was flowing. He suddenly punched the figure that rushed towards him. Boom! It was like thunder exploding in the sky. The air around was squeezed out, and there was a suffocating feeling. Before Yuan's fist could even land, it flew out without any warning. Brush. The shadow form is released. The divine armor and Kamui dissipated. Bang! It flew dozens of meters away and crashed heavily into the ground. It is unknown how deep the damage was. The whistling sound of the wind gradually weakened. Rox put away his arrogance, turned around and left while giving instructions. Go get that kid out. He didn't actually kill. But it also taught Yun a lesson. Kaido stepped forward, swung his mace, and dug a hole more than 10 meters deep in the ground before he saw Yun. Ahem, if you dig for a while, you'll really bury me alive. Yun said weakly, with blood all over his lips and teeth as he spoke. This time I was really hurt. Now it feels difficult to even move. Oh, you should thank the captain for leaving you with an intact body. Kaido looked at Yun as if he was a man and reached out and grabbed Yun and jumped out of the pit. Ouch. Go slower, my bones are going to break. I'm injured. Yun screamed miserably. I thought to myself, you are overdoing it. You took action against the captain on your first day as a cadre. Yun, you are really impressing me more and more. Golden Lion Shiki stepped forward and joked with glee. The captain wants to test me. Can you help me call the ship's doctor? As soon as Yun spoke, he grimaced in pain. Let's go, Lousy has the best ship doctor. Golden Lion Shiki's eyes lit up and he said immediately. I won't bother Captain Shiki with such a small matter. Just let Kaido help me, right? Yun refused decisively and immediately looked at Kaido for help. Brother, it's up to you. You have to be more righteous and don't let me down. He was really afraid that Shiki would take this opportunity to make him suffer even more. Compared to him, Kaido is at least honest. Leave. Kaido didn't say much and took Yun to find the ship's doctor. TSK, you timid guy, I'll practice with you when you're better. The Golden Lion Shiki shouted from behind. He hasn't gotten over the fact that Yun is too timing. I must find an opportunity to teach Yun a lesson. If it's too late, we may not be able to teach them a lesson. This kid's strength growth is too abnormal. This is what Shiki is worried about. Snort. John snorted coldly and turned away. He was getting increasingly annoyed with Yun. Because his people were killed by Yun at the pirate banquet, and John was petty and vindictive, and also out of jealousy, he was unhappy with Yun in various ways. Everyone left with their thoughts full of thoughts. At the same time, Marine Headquarters. Fleet Admiral Office. Gang Gukong's burly body like a mountain sat on the Fleet Admiral's seat, wearing a handsome white uniform and looking a little solemn. Then several figures entered the room. Fleet Admiral, what happened? Why did you call us here so urgently? Zhang Guo asked directly. Laozi was just about to teach that guy Qingjiao a lesson. Garp picked his nose and sat down carelessly. Behind them were Zephyr and Vice Admiral Tsuru. These people can be considered the real top Marines. Take a look at it. Gang Gukong sighed and threw a document to everyone. 4 heads came over at the same time to browse the contents of the file. There's a new leader in the Rocks Pirates. And he's a 17-year-old kid. Garp was shocked. He didn't expect that the information would be such a big news right at the beginning. Kasayun? I've never heard of this name. Zifa's face was solemn. He thought carefully but still had no impression of this name. No. Just keep watching. Vice Admiral Tsuru suddenly paused, a look of deep shock on his face. Kasayun is the winner of the pirate banquet. The intelligence said that he, after 7 days of training, I also awakened Conqueror's domineering spirit. What happened on Beehive Island last night appeared on the desk of Marine Fleet Admiral today. It is unimaginable how deep the water is. What a joke! Reaching the strength of 30 million pirates in 7 days? Awakening Conqueror's haki at the age of 17 and being able to control it freely? Laozi absolutely does not believe it. Garp immediately slammed the table and stood up, shouting that he didn't believe it. 17-year-old controls conquerors domineering? This is bullshit. The intelligence was extremely detailed, even mentioning the pirates who participated in the pirate banquet. It didn't seem like the kind of intelligence that an average person could bring out. Is there something wrong with this information? How is it possible that someone can kill 30 million pirates after practicing for 7 days? Zifa pondered for a moment and expressed his doubts. Zhang Hua, who had been silent all this time, showed some thought and glanced at Gang Gu Kong calmly. Gang Gu Kong had a confident look on his face and had no doubt about the information. Zhang Hua frowned. He did know that Sora Cyborg had planted a spy in the Rocks Pirates, and that spy was of high status, but he never knew who it was. Even though Sengoku had carefully investigated the intelligence of the Rocks Pirates leaders, he could not find any trace of them being undercover agents. He didn't know about the undercover officer. But judging from Kong Gang's performance, it can be judged that this information is absolutely true. I don't know whether the method used by Zhang Hua to train undercover agents was passed down from Cyborg. So, did a monster really appear in the Rocks Pirates? Zhang was breathing quick and slightly. This is too horrible. Hey Zhang Hua, what are you doing? Speak. Gar patted Zhang Hua's shoulder and reminded him. The intelligence is fine. Gang Gukong suddenly spoke, not knowing what he was thinking of. Zhang Hua nodded and continued. I don't think the information is wrong. The Rocks Pirates will only contact Marine when something major happens. It has been almost 2 years since the last time they passed on information, so you don't have to believe it, but the appearance of the pirate Kasa Yun cannot be denied. It is more convincing to state the facts and present evidence. Zhang Hua was well aware of this and first made everyone believe the authenticity of the information. Vice Admiral Tsuru nodded, agreeing with what Zhang Hua said. Garp crossed his arms and couldn't help curling his lips, muttering. Even if he is a genius, the 7 days thing is just an exaggeration by that bastard Rocks to interfere with Marine's judgment. He simply didn't believe that anyone could train for 7 days and kill a pirate with a bounty of 30 million. That's right. Even if Kasayun is a genius, the winner of the pirate banquet, and the new cadre of the Rocks Pirates, Laozi doesn't believe any other news. Zifa then expressed his opinion. Practice for 7 days and control conquerors. No one would believe it unless they saw it with their own eyes. It's simply a fantasy.